on a mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus stage start to talk, ran it back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on a mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. And you know how Steppin Marcus J is live. We in building, ready to have another outstanding show as we do at this time every single Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The crew is here. We got special guests coming up here shortly. Lot to get into, as there always is. I'm excited. You should be too. Flagship show, Legacy Internet Radio. It's called Ain't No Half Steppin with Marcus J. It's live right now. Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip. Open your ears. Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't No Half Steppin Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show. Heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks already checked in with us on Facebook Live, and those folks checking in later on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Our archives, www.legacyinternetradio.com. Because y'all rock with us, we roll with y'all. So we appreciate it. We got a lot to get to tonight, and we're excited. We're going to have later on in the show Mel with Art Creations join us, Mel with Art Creations by Mel, and Trey with Arts by Trey are going to join us later on in the show. We got, of course, our usual suspects who I will introduce here, and then we will move on with the show. You hear the brother join us every single week. He sits across from me. It's my man. It's my brother John. What it do, homie? How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
I don't know what's going on with me right now.
Look. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not.
It's just coming out organically.
I'm not in a good mood. The Yankees lost and Boston won, so I'm ready to
not
be cool with that.
See, then you gotta take me out my whole thing I was doing.
I'm
just
sorry.
now.
I'm sorry.
What is it that you doing, man?
That's where I'm at right now. I'm not feeling good about that,
John.
And
now I gotta just go ahead and get it back.
We here on the show.
I'm gonna go ahead and get it back and introduce Steph so that she can, introduce some levity here, But you had to bring it down, talk about the Yankees, of course. What's up, sis? How you doing, man?
Always forward, and I still love the Mets.
Who?
Don't do it. Don't.
Who?
Do
The New York Mets, I
Yes.
suppose.
M-E-T-S,
Yeah, the Mets.
Come
So
on now.
yeah, I guess they are. I say this all the time. I'm very, very clear about this. The Mets have given me the greatest moment I have ever had as a sports fan
Yes.
in my lifetime.
We talked
And
about
and
that.
yes,
Yeah.
and I've seen the New York Yankees as an adult win 5 World Series as an adult. And I don't even count the 2 they made,
God, here we
before
go.
I made it to kindergarten. Okay, 5 in my adult life. And then I seen the New York Football Giants win 2
Yes.
in my adult life. right? And you want to throw hockey in there. I seen the Rangers win. Never ever seen the Mets win. Excuse me, the Knicks win.
I'm about to say
But the Knicks win. But the New York Mets, who ain't even my team, in 1986 was the greatest
that
moment.
was one of. Come on now. That I appreciate you putting that out there too.
They had a great team.
Yeah.
And they got a doc on ESPN right now that chronicles the 86 Mets.
I'm gonna have to.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah,
John, what you think about the
definitely
86 Mets, man? Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, the kid Gary
Come on.
Carter.
Look. Mets won, and then the
Here we
Giants
go.
won.
That's right.
And
That's right.
And I went to the store. I had my Mets baseball jersey,
Yeah.
but I also had a Giants baseball style jersey,
Oh, that's
and
dope.
it was killer. And that was all good times, And then
Certainly. I mean, anytime you can go back and be like Keith Hernandez.
all of those years,
game.
like 87, 88,
Back
like behind
then.
those was like, come on, man. We New York.
Dykstra.
Listen, New York was New York.
Lenny Dykstra, that's right.
80, 85, 86, 87, 88, New York City had a certain character to it that was just amazing. We had, look, Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion. The Mets won, the Giants won. It was just good time. I mean, Bentleys, you know what I'm saying? It was Benzie box pulling it out your car and carrying it with you to the club. It was just good times.
And then you throw
was his
in
heyday.
the fact that hip hop
Look at
was
us,
just
yes.
born and it was popping in New York City.
Yeah, we had
Big Daddy Kane.
we had Rakim.
1988,
86.
1986.
Followed up. No, what his big start 85. Janet Jackson drops Control.
Control didn't come out
Which
to
was-
86.
It was 85.
Was it?
Yeah, the
Now
what they call that?
Do the homework, bro.
You know,
The
I
first
typically-
what's the
you know,
first single?
I
What have
usually-
you done for me lately?
I usually get these things right. So
What
the
have you
Control album came out. Let's see. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Do the drum roll. February 4th,
86. It had to be there.
1986.
You were
So-
grinning. I knew
so-
it was
so
gonna
no.
be.
All
I
right, so
knew it.
so what have you done for me lately?
Well, let's see. You might be
Was
partly right, too. Let's see the
85.
singles.
The reason you know it's 85 because Rakim in 86 did the rhyme about screaming like a fiend on the couch with my feet up. You scream which was direct response to what have you done for me
January
lately?
13th, 1986.
Nah, it was out in
I'm
85.
looking at it right now.
It might have been for sale. I'm telling you, it was 85. I
Okay.
played it at parties in 85. That's what I
All
know.
right, we'll do
You got the
some more
bootleg
research.
joint?
Nah, it was a single.
You didn't get the bootleg?
Yeah, he
Single-
probably had a bootleg.
I don't know. I had a big
The rough demo?
I had a big album. Right. But
You had
We had-
Peter Piper drop, South Bronx drop.
1986, yeah.
so then
Yeah.
the Rakim came. Then after Rakim, the
Boogie Down
following year,
Productions.
we had Kane, and then we had Cool G Rap, Polo, and like it was just from then it just went crazy.
And you had the
Remember
Mets
MC
winning.
Shan, the Bridge?
Yeah, the bridge. Yeah. MC Shan had a lot of
Oh my
heat.
God, we
86, you had the Mets winning. You had the Giants winning. You had Mike Tyson, the baddest man in the world. Hip hop is born and it is growing in New York City. Like it was a good time. The 80s,
Make the music.
Make the Music came
Yeah.
out around that time.
Mhm.
It was a good time to be
Yeah.
from that area.
Listen, like I
Yeah.
said, 85, 86, 87, 88. Those consecutive 4 years in New York
Power
City.
years.
New York City was a home of all the nightclubs. We had everything. We had the Underground, which was Union Square. We had Latin
Palladium.
Quarters,
All right, so now
Palladium.
So let's have some fun, right? So
Yeah.
so my sister Laurel, our sister Laurel is checking us out. First of all, thank you for rocking. It was so good to hang out with you recently. She says, the 67 Mets, Ron Schwarber, but we're all too young to remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're a little
bit.
you got
But
me
you
with
went-
that
But I
one.
will
Lil.
tell you,
Right.
the 69 Mets when they won that year. My mom and dad told me that was a great year because what was it, 62 or 63?
When did the Jets win? Was that 71?
That was 67. You talking about the Joe Namath year?
Yeah,
I
that
wanna
was
s-
like 71.
No, I think you were probably closer to right than I am on that
You
one.
know why? Because my mother, because I had
Yeah,
a
you-
little
I
cleft in my chin, and my mom's went out and bought the whole Joe Namath
No, she
uniform
didn't.
for me. Yes,
No,
she did.
didn't.
Yes, she
No, she
did.
didn't.
I know nothing. I know nothing about football,
Y'all are killing
but I
me
was
here,
outside
killing
with a
me.
helmet on, and the Joe Namath thing on my thing with my hair hanging out the helmet.
Let me get some more love. My brother Tawab Amon Ben Israel is checking us out. He's saying shalom, shalom, and peace to you, brother. Thank you for rocking. Stay with us, man. You're gonna hear some fun stuff here with us tonight. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so let's kind of get into a brief topic, John. As we talked in our pre-show earlier, we know what we're going to get into here. We got our special guest is going to join us in a little while here coming up. In 1969, yeah, I think that was the year Tawab that the Mets won the World Series. I think it was 69 before they won again in 86. You want to talk about the president, the current president? His approval rating is dropping, and you had a lot of people who thought the world was going to be different and everything was going to be great now that Donald Trump isn't the president anymore, and all of those things. And depending on your perspective and your own life, not a lot has changed, or maybe a whole lot has changed. It's I guess a matter of perspective. So, what say you?
I say this. All the people out there listening, I need y'all to start like sending money and stuff and go to YouTube and subscribe, because we need to get a producer, because I would like to be able to go back and find the show where we were talking about Biden and Harris. And I said to folks, I said, we going to get them, but what are we going to give up to get them? And how are they going to impact us on a regular basis? What I know right now is Biden wants the IRS to look at everybody's bank account who got $600 or more in it and monitor your every transaction. You didn't see it? I'll send it to you. Yeah, that's his thing. That's in his $3 trillion plan. The Republicans in the Senate has already passed, was it 1.3 trillion for infrastructure, and the Democrats won't let it go through because they want to pack a lot of pork on it. Another $1.5 trillion worth of stuff we may or may not need, because it is so flooded with verbiage that's like unnecessary that nobody wants to do anything with it. So we're not getting infrastructure done. IRS is in our business. And I really don't know. I really can't put my hand on anything that he has done in a positive way. Now, he hasn't necessarily made us look like fools on the international stage, and I'll give him that. Harris has been invisible as far as I could tell. Maybe she's done stuff and it just hasn't been reported, but I don't even know as vice president if she has an agenda or if she's put something together that's going to be her thing. And I don't see her going over to Congress or the Senate pushing people to get Joe Biden's thing happening, which is part of what her job is supposed to be, I think. Somebody out there who knows a little bit more about politics, let me know if I'm wrong on that. So I'm just saying, like, it doesn't look like he plans on running for a second term, which might really jack us up, because if we get a Trump Republican back in office, I don't know if we'll survive that. So that's just my opinion on Biden right now.
Steph, what you think about the president and how things are going with the way America is rolling right now? What you think?
I think that I think it's too much of a simplification to decide that Biden's just doing bad. Now, do I like how he's performing? I don't like how any politician is performing right now. I think that the Democrats are not prepared to get down in the trenches like they need to in order to get things done. I do agree that the bill has pork on it in it that does not need to be there. Absolutely agree with that. Just read the article about the $600, so thank you for mentioning that. But I also don't think it's some happy dance moment because the Democrats are not doing X and O, and I think it's important to state that because, one, we're not even a full year into the administration. 2, we need more progressive politics, in my opinion. And the same people that will say Biden's not doing a great job would really hate progressive politics. My issue with the current administration is the unwillingness to get dirty. Like, I just, at this stage in the game, I know I'm never going to vote Republican just based on the facts that they're going after women's rights. They are going after voting rights. They spread the big lie and continue to support it. And you can say it's not the Republicans, but this is who they are. This is now who that party is. So there's no way I could really give them my vote, although I've always considered myself an independent. And I have voted both ways. The way they look right now is too dangerous for me to put my backing or put my vote behind them. I think the biggest concern that I'm always going to stick to is do something about the filibuster. Be willing to remove it, because right now they're pushing through legislation that is harmful to women's health. They're pushing through legislation that will minimize or reduce opportunities to be able to vote for many people. And if that is not handled, I'm looking at the Democrats as a whole, and I've really been thinking they need an overhaul in general. And I kind of agree with something that was said that I heard a younger person say. If you were born during the Jim Crow era, as late as the 60s, I just don't think you should be in politics. I think you should just go ahead and chill out and pass the mantle. Sorry, John. I mean, we have people in there. You're not even in their age range, but we have too many people in it. One, it'll never happen, but I am just so pro term limit, and I have been for so long.
How about no more boomers?
Anybody civil rights era, anybody Jim Crow era, gone, out.
So 66, 67, 68, that's like me. We can't get
No, I think you might be misunderstanding her. Not being born then, but living during them times. You saying born then?
I'm saying basically living during those times.
Okay.
You weren't living. Were you living during those times? All right. Well, then you might be out, bro.
Yeah.
It really is for
that's
me.
What I say boomers.
If you
baby
experience
boomers.
the impact of Jim Crow, right now your politics are not aligned with where we are. And I think that's one of my bigger issues. And when people are going to the polls, not just looking at the current issue and how you want that person to handle it, look at that person. That people of a certain age are not going to handle things a certain way, or they're going to perceive things a certain way. And I just think the mindset might be a little bit too antiquated. And that's me saying that I really want to see more progressive policies.
I agree.
That are going to come out of people that age.
Let me get a couple of comments. And first of all, our brother Ray is saying peace to the people. Climate is crazy. Everything exaggerated. No more civility. 100% agree with that, brother. Thank you for that comment. Brother. We really, really thank you for that. That's very helpful. Tawabamon says 1969 is when Joe Namath won the Super Bowl. So we were both close and neither one of us were actually right. You said 71 and I said 67. So thank you, Tawab. I think couple things real quick. As far as President Biden, this is probably the first time in the last few years that honestly I haven't paid that much attention to the day-to-day stuff political, just because I'm just not in that space right now. Mentally, the things that are important to me remain the social activism, and nobody really cares about that kind of stuff. Nobody really cares about the fact that we still have police brutality and issues like that. And so until those things come back to the forefront, like the filibuster and all that kind of stuff, like my life honestly is no different right now. Me personally, is no different today than it was before Joe Biden took office. That's just me, right? One of the things that I did like, that I think that he got sandbagged because the prior administration was such a albatross around the necks of America, is how we deal with the COVID thing, which we're going to talk more about because we got guests coming up soon. I don't want to get into this now. We'll get into it later. But I think that if we had had a real president with some brains and some compassion and an idea around trying to meet the challenge and actually beat the challenge as opposed to making it about themselves, I think that we would be in a better position with regards to COVID in this country, regardless of which side of the COVID argument you are on. I think we would have less people dead. I think that we would have more structure because it's hard to take a 5-year-old and teach a 5-year-old how to do things that you would teach in a 2-year-old. You know, if you get that 2-year-old to put his blocks in the spot, and he knows by the time he's 5 to put his blocks in the spot. But if you're trying to teach the 5-year-old who's been able to run rampant for 3 years that you're supposed to put your blocks in this spot, 5-year-old's gonna be like, man, I ain't doing none of that. I'm gonna do what I want to do, you know. So I think we're dealing with a lot of that with regards to the president and how he's performing. And then the last thing that I want to get to before we round table it and wait on our guests is the fact that I'm gonna pause me. I always pause me for our sister who we got to greet because she here. And so we gonna say, as we say at this time of the show,
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is very important that we don't do a very good job at in this country is represent everybody. And I think that I don't remember what the actual point that one of the two of y'all made. I'm sorry, I got a lot going on, but one of the two of y'all made a point that made me want to go here. And it also reminds me of the conversation that we had John and I earlier, Steph, before you got here. I think that any country, any state, any city, any neighborhood, any household, anything that has to have decisions made needs to have everybody affected represented in the decision-making process. That means I don't want to hear about dudes talking about women can't get abortions. I don't want to hear about anybody telling people who they're supposed to be marrying. I don't want to hear about any of that kind of stuff. Call me a free spirit, call me a hippie, call me Marcus J. Just call me and discuss it if you don't agree with me, because that's what I do here at 804-402-2893. But I honestly, I don't think that it's okay to be making decisions that affect people, and you don't have the people affected in the room to discuss the changes that will affect them. That to me is crazy. So anytime we're doing that, that's when I'm checking out on you, because that sounds crazy to me.
I don't disagree at all with what Steph was saying about, I would say boomers and above. They may not be the best people.
Actually, let me stop you because I didn't even finish my final point.
Okay. Go ahead.
and I had forgotten, and you just reminded me, which led me to the fact that I think that everybody should be represented. I don't agree with what Steph is saying. I think the older folks need to be in the room.
I knew you weren't agreeing with that.
Just
you were making that.
and I just forgot.
I'm gonna get to something.
I just forgot to finish that point off. So sorry to take your time here, but I think that even the old folks and the young folks have merit in this conversation. My father's 79, and my youngest nephew is 7. Right, my daughter's 18. All of them get to say what we cooking on the grill when we all get to have dinner, right? They all get a decision. We gonna tell the 7-year-old he don't get to get what he like because he's 7. We gonna tell the old man he can't get what he want. I mean, we can't do that. We got to represent everybody. So that's ultimately the point that I was making. Very, very real quick. Go ahead, John.
Let me deal. I'm gonna deal with that, and then I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. The problem with that is, right, the 7-year-old might want you to cook crayons on the grill, right? So at a certain point, you gotta that's what they like. And maybe they eat the crayons, and maybe they want some barbecue. So you gotta be at a certain point, you gotta be like, look, you 7, take this hot dog and go play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The older folks,
I like that response.
Right, no.
I like that.
The older folks may want you to cook on a grill that they had when they was a kid, that's rusted, raggedy, and if you put coals in it, they're gonna fall out the bottom. But they are steadfast on that grill. That's the grill they want cooked on. And if you're not gonna cook on that grill, they don't want it. That's when their opinion becomes invalid. You have to understand, certain time age is a factor. I know that at my age, at 53, I understand that age is a factor because there are certain things I just can't be a part of. And I'm not saying that they wrong. I know to remove myself from the situation because it's not for me, right? And it's not impossible, but it's very difficult for a 70-year-old person to have a clear understanding of the needs of a 23-year-old in this country, right? They might be able to, they might be extremely intelligent and informed, and they may have the situation where they can do it. However, it's not very likely. Now, the only problem I have with, I don't disagree with Steph, but the only problem I have with it is it works on both sides. It works on both sides because they got young people voting just for the sake of voting. They have absolutely no idea what they're voting for or what they're voting about. They just know they're going to vote because somebody older than them told them they're supposed to vote and that somebody died for their right to vote, right? I think there needs to be political education. I think everything in this country needs to come with a degree of education, and there need to be some type of certificate of fitness with regard to you with regard to your participation, right? If I have to learn how to operate a car before I can get on the highway and drive, right? Because I'm taking my life and the lives of others into my hands. People need to have similar education, maybe not necessarily a license, but some type of education about the political process in the system and what your voting means and what you're voting for before people are allowed to vote. And you should be able to verbally demonstrate that you have that understanding. And if you don't, like, why? I mean, you're just being used. You're just a prop for the numbers, right? So I want everyone to participate in the political process, but I want everyone also to be educated and have some type of sense of what's going on. Part of what Marcus and I was talking about earlier is the fact that we're no longer a country of law; we're a country of public opinion, right? People's feelings and how they think about stuff is what works for the day and the best. I mean, we can go into all that, but like nobody just puts the facts out anymore, just facts. And I want to get back to that. I don't care what you like or dislike. What happened, what's clear, what's fact, what can be proven and disproven. Everything else keep to yourself.
The unfortunate reality is I don't think we'll ever get back there, but we're going to talk about that on the other
I
side.
think
Yes.
it's funny that we think we were ever there, but go ahead. We're definitely talking about
We
that.
were
Oh,
closer.
Yeah,
We were closer.
I think you're
I
both.
don't know if we were ever there, but we have gotten further away.
I
I
think
do
I
agree
think I
with
think
that
I think
part.
we're all. I think we all are touching on something. We're gonna pause that,
Yeah.
and when we come back from hanging out with our guests, I think that's probably where we need to start before we get into the balance of the show. We got a couple of comments in from social media, and then we'll bring our guests in. Let's see. My cousin Tony back home in Jersey is saying
Hey,
peace
cuz.
to the family. Peace to you, brother. Thank you for rocking with us, man. Got a lot of love for you. It's good to see you. Last time I saw you, hopefully I get to see you, give you a hug next time. Sue is saying you cannot realistically represent everyone because every situation is different. And while I would tend to agree with that, I think that we need to do better. And I don't think we do a good enough job of trying to do better there. So I appreciate that comment. And she continues, it should, however, cover a large majority. So I think the unfortunate reality is the essence of privilege is they think they do, and they obviously don't. Our sister Latrell is checking us out. She's Sue's sister. She's saying good morning, and so we're gonna give her greeting just like we give her big sister.
Good morning, Latrell.
Yeah, ain't no half stepping. With Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so listen, I'm excited, y'all, and I'm excited when we have guests. Like we got, special guests. We got new folks that are hanging out with us, and whenever we have that, it's a good day. So I want to give salutations and homage to our very very special guests who are joining us. We've got Mel with Art Creations by Mel and Trey with Arts by Trey joining us live on the Step with Marcus J. How y'all doing, folks?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Good.
Doing well. First of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the show with us tonight. You've got our brother John and our sister Steph with yours truly. here, and I just want to talk to y'all about what y'all have going on. I'm kind of going to talk with you, or we'll talk with you kind of individually, and then together. I'm going to start with you, Mel.
Okay.
I want to know about the arts creations by Mel because that sounds very intriguing. And I know that the folks that are listening and watching can get a lot out of it. So let's get it. Let's talk about it. What is it?
So Art Creations by Mel is pretty much my brand name. I specialize in realism art. My main mediums that I use are graphite and charcoal. And I pretty much have the slogan, I create art for you. I do a lot of client work, commission work as well. So I pretty much try to capture the vision of my clients. So that's where the creations came about.
So how long have you done it? How long has this been something? Well, first of all, when you have something like that, let me back my question a little bit. When you have something like that, it usually is a vision that takes a little time. So let's go back to the beginning and talk a little bit about the origin story. Where did this beginning come from before you created Art Creations by Mel? Because I know that there was something to that beforehand.
Yeah, so I pretty much always had that skill. That was known to my parents around the age of 4. I attended various art programs, the Visual Arts Center, and I was a part of the Center for the Arts. So it was known then at a young age. And just as I gotten older, I just kind of learned to, capture that and just kind of like just get better in my skill. And that's pretty much where it came about. It's just something that I love. It's a God-given talent, but just like anything, it does take training. So that's something I do still try to do myself.
Okay. I'm gonna pause you for a second. I want to jump in. I want to bring Trey in. Arts by Trey.
Yes, sir. How's it going, man?
Peace to you, brother. Thank you for being with us. I'm gonna jump around with you a little different than how I'm talking to our sister. Arts by Trey. Where did the name come from? Because it's short, it's quick, it makes its point. I know that I know what I'm dealing with when I hear that. So now I'm intrigued.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's start with the name. Where did it come from?
So originally, I wanted to have my brand titled as Art by Trey. But then I was creating the name, and for some reason, instead of putting the S, I ended up putting a Z. But once I had already created the website and everything like that, I couldn't go back and fix it. So it kind of just stuck with me. And when you say arts, it's with a Z.
Right, right. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes it is a mishap that takes us into the next level of our greatness.
Yes, sir.
When you notice that, you was like, man, all right, let's get it. You had your moment where you was like, man, and then you said, let's get it. So I can dig that. Let's do your origin story. Are you somebody who's always been artistically inclined?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was really intrigued with art at a very young age. But what really got me going was abstract art. I was at school field trip, happened to see an actual real original Jackson Pollock piece in the museum. And I was intrigued by his techniques and that. And, back then we didn't have, YouTube and, videos trying to show, things of the past like that, how we do now with technology. So I kept trying different things and different avenues of how he did his technique. And after, I want to say about 7 years, I finally was able to master it. So now I am, and my work is its own work, but a lot of my work, I will not lie, is inspired by Jackson Pollock.
Okay. Tell us who Jackson Pollock, for those folks who may not be familiar. Give us a little bit of a backstory for those folks. Those folks,
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Like
so
that.
long story short,
because a lot of times people always try to act like they be knowing when they don't be knowing. Like, I know Jackson.
Yeah.
While they're in the phone pulling out the Google. Right?
What did Trump,
maybe get to Google real quick.
Frederick Douglass is going to do some good things.
Yeah, like when he said when the president said Frederick Douglass. Yeah, so I could dig that. So
right.
seriously, like give us the little bit of a backstory on that and why it resonated with you.
So long story short, with Jackson Pollock, a little bit about him. He was one of the big co-founders of refining abstract art to a whole other level. He had passed away, I believe, in the early 60s. And he didn't really have a big reputation. And at that time of art, abstract art in his form was looked at it like it was trash. But just like the other great artists, like Picasso and the rest of them, they don't become famous and make the money until they're long and gone. So after when Mr. Jackson Pollock had passed away, his style of art became a real big thing in the 70s, and then it hit the 80s, and then 90s, his style of art took off. And even to this day, I mean, his pieces run you $60 million to $120 million easy. And that resonates with me because I've always had a passion.
brother.
I had a passion for abstract art. I always told myself I didn't want to be popular, because being a popular artist, you're only good for the moment. Like that's why, even with sneakers, the styles always change, only popular for the moment. But I always told myself I wanted to become famous. I may not make the money today, but those that have supported me along the way, hopefully my name will live on, and maybe that investment, if they're still living on and passing the art down, maybe it may be worth money one day.
Yeah. Ain't no Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're talking to Mel with Arts Creations by Mel, and Trey with Arts by Trey. Mel, we're going to come back to you. Let's talk to you a little bit about the transition from when you were doing art as a young person. That was always something that is a part of who you are. Talk to me about 20-year-old Mel. What's she doing with her art?
At the time, it was kind of like a back burner. I had a full-time job. I kind of still had the skill. I was looking to get into actually forensic art around that time. So that's something I kind of wanted to get into. I didn't venture off with it. But at that time, around 20, I was just doing a couple of commissions here and there, family, friends, and word of mouth, that type of thing. But yeah, in my 20s, I was just kind of as a hobby, pretty much.
Yeah. When did it get serious for you? When did you decide, you know what, I got the skill, I'm going to do something with it?
The last.
Ain't no Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so you watching live production. I don't know what just happened. And we're going to see in a minute.
We lost the feed.
We lost the feed. But that's all right, because it sounded like she was about to give us some good stuff. And I think they'll probably get their situation squared away, and then they'll come back to us. And I'm going to move on with the conversation that we were having until we see them pop in. So those folks that's rocking with us, you might see us going back and forth a little bit. But that's all right, because that's what happens when you're dealing with live television, live video, and live podcast. And ain't no Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial if you want to be a part of anything that we're doing here tonight. So we're going to go back to what we were talking about, and we're going to do that until we see them pop back in. I think we were talking, Steph, about the president, and we were talking about how things are viewed, different perspectives. I was making the point that I think everybody should be represented with regards to the table when decisions are being made. And I include older people and younger people. And John was making the analogy that, somebody who may not belong at the table might ask for something crazy. I think the analogy you were using is the 7-year-old that wants to put crayons on the grill.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair, as we were laughing and joking about that analogy, I think that's a fair analogy. All right, so it looks like I did a decent amount of filler. I think even in my filler, I was able to waste enough time to get our guests back. Are you guys back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey man, it's what it is. It's what it is. It happens. All right, so let's get back to you, Mel.
All right.
I was asking you, we talking about 20-year-old Mel, and you're doing commissions, and wasn't really your thing. And I think where I was trying to get you to go is where was the turning point where you said, hold up, man, I got this gift, I need to do something with it. What was that turning point? Was there a day? Was there a time? Was there a spirit? What was the deal?
Yeah. So I actually did one of my first pop-ups. I was just invited out to say, you know what, come out and showcase your art. And around that time, that's when I really heard it from other people that I can actually sell art. I actually had a gentleman actually purchase the piece that night, and I was actually surprised. And it was just something that I, was just trying a new technique, but he loved it. So that was really my turning point.
Yeah, yeah. And then the next day, you said, "Hold up, wait a minute. I might
Yeah,
have some on my hands here."
like I was surprised. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, did you have a team around you that helped you through that surprise, or were you kind of rocking on your own with regards to that? Because
Um,
that
I
sounds like that could be a big moment for
Yeah,
people.
that night, my sister and a friend of mine actually came out to support.
Yeah,
So it was like we was all surprised. Not saying that wasn't an ultimate goal, when you showcase your art.
yeah,
Um, at the time I was just looking for clientele to do custom artwork for, not necessarily just buy what
right.
I was, what I was doing.
Right. And you know, hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den. Legacy in that radio 804-402-2893 is number dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. Trey, let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to Arts by Trey.
Yes, sir.
We know what you're doing now, but
Yep.
similar question to what I asked our sister Mel. When you said, you know what, I'm gonna create something that's gonna be long standing, and it ended up on Arts by Trey. I mean, you told me about the name and the website and all that kind of stuff, but I want to know more about the feeling. Talk to me about the feeling and what was going on with you when you decided that, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do.
I think it was the restrictions I always seen and trying to follow other artists in that and talking with other artists. You know, people always complained about, oh, they're not getting exposure, they're not being able to sell their art. And I decided when I came up with the name Arts by Trey, I just didn't want to be known as an artist. I wanted to also be known as an innovator. And with this techniques and styles that I've been creating recently in my private collection, has been getting a lot of interest in mixing different techniques, especially with mixed media. It's been gathering a lot of attention, especially locally here in the urban community. And again, it goes back to that whole being famous. I want to be famous here at home and spread and branch out from there. So I always wanted to create something that would stand long term versus short term.
Right, right. I know that coming up, there's an event that's coming up. I got it here. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the event. All right. So we've got the RVA Variety Series that's
Yes.
coming up.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the Eventbrite that I have, and I will share this in our social media
Thank
uh,
you.
eminently. So it looks like it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing at Another Round Bar
Wow.
and Grill
Great.
at 7515 Brook Road in Richmond, 23227. So that sounds like North Side. Am I right? Is that North Side?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing good with my parts of town. Ain't been over there in a while, but I think I recognize the address. All right, so I'm gonna read this little piece, Mel, and then I want you to like give it to me, like that. I'm not reading, like give it to me. All right, can you do that for us? All right.
Yeah.
All right, the RVA Variety Series is a 2-day festival filled with eclectic live performances by VA artists. The show is dedicated to shining a spotlight on our amazing underground, independent, and local visual performing artists in RVA and all of VA. First of all, that sounds real dope. That
Yeah.
sounds real dope. 3 times. That sounds real dope. Where was the idea for that? Because that is a wonderful thing that I think we all could benefit from. You guys are putting this out. So let's start. I didn't read a date. Let's start
Yeah.
with the date. And then I want you to talk to me a little bit more personal other than what I
Mhm.
just read.
Yeah. So that was actually an idea that the wonderful Adele actually came up with. She partnered with Tamika as well. So their name is Mix. I'm sorry. Karma is Adele, and the Mix Network is Tamika, and they wanted to basically bring Richmond together. There's a lot of events where these artists are separated. You're at this event, that event. So it's something that Adele had this vision to bring RVA together. And it's not even like, who's more popular. I like your music better. I don't like his or hers. She didn't care. She wanted RVA together. So it's going to be producers there, DJs, artists like us as well. So this is just something that she had this major vision where it's not a popular type thing. It's just we're all here it's all love and just bringing everyone together.
What are the dates?
Okay, so the date is September 25th, and of course, Sunday as well.
Okay, so it's the 20th. So that's this Saturday.
Yeah,
So,
Saturday and Sunday. Yes, I'm
so this
sorry.
Saturday the 25th, and on this Sunday the 26th. What time are we doing this? Is another round? I'm gonna read this again. Another round, bar and grill, 7515 Brook Road here in the Cap. It's 23227. What time?
Okay, so the times does vary. The first day, I'm trying to get all my information together as well. Because it's still coming along. Just like with any major events, it's gonna be changes. But the first day, Saturday, is gonna be, I believe it starts at 12 to 12 p.m. to 12. So throughout the entire time, it's gonna be various acts, various things going on.
Okay.
Same day, same time as the same way Sunday is going to be set up as well.
So you putting on back-to-back 12-hour events?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, as far as the event itself, yes.
Yeah. You
and
realize,
like I said, it's going to be set up different artists on each day.
all right. So looking at the look on your face, you didn't realize come back to the camp. You putting on back-to-back 12-hour events?
Well, we may not be there like the entire time because that's a long day. I mean, that's a long day.
Take your flowers, sis. That is a long day, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you do.
Yeah.
That's where this is going.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing that you're doing because you're giving a lot of people an opportunity to showcase who they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's commendable. So I'm gonna give you your flowers. That's real dope. Trey, talk to me a little bit, your perspective about the event. Same event. I just want to hear it from you.
Well, it's like she said, and to reiterate, it's going to be artists from all types of genres, from musicians, DJs, producers. So you're going to have your musical art, then you're also going to have your visual art, and that's where we come into play. So we'll be there for a good amount of time, just showing both of our styles of work, from my abstract to her graphite form of realism in that. So I think it's going to be a really dope event, and all walks of life are going to be there.
Yeah. I want to give you guys, kudos, man, because I'm really enjoying having this conversation with you guys about
Thank
what,
you.
It is that you do and what will be done that day. As we move towards a close, I want to get a final word from you each individually. I'll start with you, Mel. I want you to make sure, and this is going to be the same for you too, Trey.
Yes, sir.
I want you guys to talk directly to the viewers and listeners about who you are, what it is you do, how folks can support you, how they can get your pieces if you're selling them. Really, this is an opportunity to make a sale for yourself, and how people can support you. That's what this platform is for.
Okay. Yeah. So you can follow me on Facebook at Art Creations by Mel, and also on Instagram at _ Art Creations by Mel. And I pretty much post any new work that I have up there. I have my email and phone number as well. You can contact me. Like I said, I do custom artwork as well. Whereas if you have a photograph, I can basically create that for you, recreate that for you. I could take various photos as well and mesh them into one, so you can have one grand piece. But yeah, definitely you can contact me there.
Okay. Trey, same question, bro. How is it that the folks that are watching and listening right now can rock with you, support you, benefit from your gift?
So you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook under Arts by Trey, and that's ARTZBYTRE. I'm a local guy. You can probably catch me at the local Walmart. My art, man, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have some special degree on it. I'm all self-taught. And I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm sorry for having a little choking up there.
No, it's okay, brother. Take your time. Take your time.
It's because it's kind of a sensitive subject for me and why I do art. I have PTSD, so my art shows my way of expressing myself. So I may not be able to express myself verbally very well, and it might be hard for me to get my point across, but my canvases speak for me. And for those other people that may suffer from PTSD, you're not alone. I completely understand where you're coming from. I work with any budget. My cheapest piece in my gallery right now is $10 for a small 5x7, and they go as high as no more than $500. I do art not to get rich or anything. I do it, of course, to express myself and to show others, expression has no boundary, and you really shouldn't care about what other people think. But if anyone is interested in looking at some of my pieces, if they don't see them online, and that you can find a lot of my artwork. I'm building a gallery right now at the Boutiquerie that is owned by Angel Grooms, aka the Dessert Diva here in RVA.
And she's a friend of the show. We love her.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
She is awesome.
Yeah,
And to speak on that, and again, I wanted to thank the Dessert Diva again for giving me the opportunities. The Boutiquerie is at 6 North 19th Street, right there in the historic Chaco Bottom area, and the new space is every artist's dream. So if you're interested in seeing some of my latest work and my bigger pieces, they are there with the Dessert Diva. And again, if anybody wants to get in contact with me, that's Arts by Trey with the Z on all social media platforms.
Well, one thing, Mel, I want to say, we appreciate you as an abstract artist in our community. It's rare, right? We have so many different talented people who do things exceptionally well. But to have someone who's an abstract artist in the community and have an understanding of it and be able to share that in the community, it's a wonderful thing. I appreciate you for doing so, especially here in in Richmond, in RVA. We're a booming city, and stuff like what both of you are doing, it's really, really needed. I really understand the therapeutics of it, though. I cook like that. That's my emotional therapy. Like, every black person I know has PTSD. I'm sure yours is on a different level.
Yes.
Right. But every black person I know has some form of PTSD, and we have our different coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So please don't ever feel a way about that. That's the reality of it. And your art will speak for you.
Yes.
Definitely at some point gonna get a piece just because it's fiscally intelligent to do so, because you never know, right? So I'm gonna get a piece. I'm gonna get a piece from both of you at some point before the year is
We appreciate it.
And listen, there's a lot of places like the Dessert Diva, wonderful, like Marcus said, friend of the show. But we have what's called the Art District. I live in the Art District. It's Jackson Ward, but they call it the Art District now.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So it's a ton of restaurants and shops, consignment shops. It's all kind of stuff with a lot of window space.
Yeah.
Yes.
That could be occupied by some art. And I'm sure if you get out and talk with these people, you will find some places to put your art, just for them to have something in their space to draw attention.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. And whatever it is, if they're gonna throw 5-10% on it, whatever, so be it. But just having your art for more people to see, the more people who see it, the more people will get it. Because with not as much with the graphite, the fact that you can recreate things, wonderful, right? Mel with the abstract. Trey with the abstract. The beauty of it is, it's who's looking at it.
Yep.
Yes.
And what they see. You see what I'm saying? What they see when they see it. So I see nothing but great things for both of you. And I'm glad Marcus kind of stole my thing, because I was sitting here waiting to ask you, how do we buy it? Right? Marcus took my thing, but that's cool too. And just thanks for going to the show.
No, we thank you.
No, I'm looking at comments online.
Okay.
And just to give, as we do, give people their flowers. Mama Michelle's Cafe, I happened to be sitting in there at a watch party event last week, and somebody walked out with a pretty large piece. So just to give her flowers, she also hosts some of that art.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. I am better for having spoken with you, Mel, and you too, Trey.
Thank you.
And our
Thank
show is
you.
better for having had you both as guests. I'm proud of you both. I'm happy to see you guys doing well. One last thing, I always like to send our folks home with the last thing that you want them to hear. Often the last thing folks hear about us is the thing that they most want us to know about them. So I will ask you to take your final word with that being in mind. Trey, I'll ask you to go first because I want our sister to close us out.
Oh goodness.
um, I don't know, man. I mean, besides some colleagues of mine losing their mothers because of COVID and just natural health and that, and them being young, the only thing I could say is live every day, every moment like you don't know if you're gonna see tomorrow. Live your life to the fullest. Never take no for an answer. Do what you feel is necessary to live your life.
Mhm.
That's the best thing I can say, man.
I appreciate those words, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sis.
You're welcome.
Your final word.
Yeah, so pretty much just live out your dreams. Like Trey said, you know, live your life. If there's a dream, pursue it. Like he said, don't take no for an answer. Just keep pushing. If it's something, if it's a talent, you know, make it a job. That's sometimes when we lack. We say, hey, it's just a hobby. That's what I said, but I'm trying to make it a new career. I'm trying to make it a job. I'm trying to make this my 9 to 5 instead of getting up going to a 9 to 5. I want my dream and my talent and my skill to be my job. And just daily, every day, create goals, whether it's something as small. Always create goals for yourself, and that will take you far. Just something to always think about. Just live out your dreams and pursue whatever you're passionate about.
I appreciate you, Mel, and I appreciate you, Trey. We've got Mel with Art Creations by Mel and Trey with Arts by Trey joining us here live on Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. I thank you both for being with us tonight. I wish you the best of luck. I could just tell by rapping with you guys for just a short amount of time that greatness is in front of you. All you got to do is claim it and own it. For John and Steph, I'm Marcus J. And I'm saying thank you and peace to you guys, both of you, for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You got it, folks. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Man, that was awesome. that was awesome. We have the event that's coming up, RVA Variety Series. I already kind of teased it. I'll tease it one more time, and then I'll share this on our Legacy Internet Radio page here on Facebook. For those folks who want to get for those who want to get tickets for the event, it's the RVA Variety Series 2-day festival performances from VA's elected independent and local artists. RVA Variety Series, a 2-day festival filled with them. The show was created to become a platform for all to express and show why RVA and all of VA has everything you ever wanted. Don't miss out on seeing, hearing, interacting, and networking with some of the best visual performing artists in RVA. So come see your favorite artist, DJ, comedian, poet, MC, singer, band, etc., and discover new favorites and spread the word. Hashtag the ripple effect. And they want to thank everyone for supporting these artists, trusting and believing in what they do, and never giving up on watching, sharing, supporting our visual performing artists, venues, and shows, and not only RVA, but all of VA. Hashtag 2 Up, 2 Down. Hashtag RVA Variety Series. Hashtag VA is for lovers. Karma. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. John and Steph. As we transition from guest mode back into the usual suspects conversation, I got one more comment that I want to get in before we take back over the show. My family, my sister, my big sister, Lady Z, is checking us out. She's saying peace and love. She's driving, so she wants us to pin the info. So I'll make sure that the info is on. Actually, I posted earlier today in the process of advertising for tonight's appearances. It's on my personal Facebook as well as Ain't No Hashtag Marcus J Legacy Internet Radio, but I'll add them back later on. If not tonight, then tomorrow. So it's there and potentially again later in the week because this event's too cool with too much potential for us not to be celebratory of. So I want to move on. I want to get back to what we were talking about, John. We were talking about president. We were talking about a bunch of stuff. So it's been a little while since we've been in it, and we can recalibrate our arguments as we move into the rest of what we're going to talk about because we got a few things other than the Biden, the coronavirus, and all that kind of stuff. A few other things that we are going to get to, but I do want to finish this up before we do that transition. So wherever is your pleasure to rejoin that piece of the conversation, I invite you to to rejoin wherever you're comfortable.
Well, as we were kind of jumping off of where Steph was with her observation and opinion regarding the baby boomers, people of that age and older, and their active participation in the body politic and how it affects others. Because I'm assuming here, you didn't quite say it, but because their personalities, who they are as people, has been affected by a time in this country that was severely traumatic, and their decision-making process leans to that experience on either side they were on during that era, before 1965, before 1968, before 1970. If you are alive when your life and it could have been affected by those things, if you were in grade school or junior high school during the 60s, then you were affected, and you carry that into your life, right? And the older you get, the less familiar society becomes to you. I'm experiencing that now at my age. I'm experiencing not being able to relate to the majority of the people. I'm in a minority, right? The majority of people in this country right now are in their 20s and 30s. I'm in the minority, right? So I can't relate. I saw an interview. You could relate to this, Mark, because I saw an interview the other day with Carmelo Anthony, right? And this is a grown man, professional athlete, well-to-do. Hold on. Yeah, this is an adult male, well-to-do, with children, and he's sitting up having an interview, nationally broadcast interview, and he has a 6-year-old girl hairdo. Like, I mean, he has the little skinny braids, and they're in a little design, and then it's hanging down on the side. I mean, I guess I'm wrong, right? Because that man could wear his hair any way he wants to, right? But as far as I'm concerned, that's a little girl's hairdo. So I realize that I'm at fault, and I got to take myself out of that discussion, right? Because I can't relate. And there's nothing that anyone can do to tell me to relate to this grown man with a 6-year-old girl's hairdo, right? So you could say it's fashion, it's style, it's whatever. I know what I see, and my vision is not going to change with it. There's nothing anybody could tell me about it. So guess what? It's time for me to take a step back and remove myself from that kind of conversation, because I'm the old man at the club now, right? So that, that's just what it is. All that to say, I respect your observation of people of a certain age in the body politic, because we are who we are. Marcus and I were talking about Archie Bunker earlier.
But I want to say this one thing,
Mhm.
and it's not that I don't think we should consider all who are impacted by laws, regulations, rules, and amendments, if you will. It's just that, as you're saying, there becomes the unfortunate thing about politics is it impacts every single part of our lives. We can say, I don't want to pay attention to it, but it can impact the social aspect of our lives. And to Marcus's point earlier, when he was talking about how a lot of the key social issues are not being discussed right now, it impacts financial aspects of their life. So you have a lot of people who are making the primary decisions who were raised by the quote unquote greatest generation. They were born into families of either affluence or influence, and they are disconnected from the fact that the majority of Americans are not even close to living the financial lifestyles that they're living, what they consider when I listen to conversations about social programs like not just welfare but food stamps, what they consider livable wage, or the amount of food stamps it takes for someone to be able to feed their home, or to put food in their homes, it's off base. It's irrelevant. It's a lot of politicians it's dated, and a lot of politicians that I'm watching now, it's like watching your great aunt try to work a brand new Samsung. Put it down. It's not for you anymore. Get them something easier. Get them a Cricket. And I don't mean it to be dismissive. It's just that these policies, these rules, these laws, these things that are being implemented are going to be standing long after I'm gone and Marcus and you are gone. And they're being made for people who are 20, 30 years younger than us.
Exactly.
And being made from a standpoint that is almost beyond antiquated. It just has no true relevance. So it's not that I don't want their voices represented. I just think that they should not be the ones leading the conversation, because then they have the opportunity to minimize or exclude the voices of the people who are actually going to be impacted by the rules, regulations, laws, and things that they're making. And that to me is problematic, and a true reason of why you see us at a standstill or stalemate in politics today.
The vast majority of elected officials in this country are 55-year-old and older white men. Full stop.
And
that's it.
That's it.
And that is not what the country looks like.
Well, it's
the
also
country
why
does not look like white men 55 and older.
No, it doesn't.
It's not what
and the country doesn't poll that way either. They don't poll in that same mindset. If you look at the polls that came out today regarding abortion, even Republican women said that they were more likely to start looking at the Democratic Party or the Democratic candidate, because while they may be while they may be anti-abortion or anti-choice, they're not, anti-abortion, they're not anti-choice. So taking away the choice and then creating vigilante laws and things like that, that turns them off.
There is a bounty.
Absolutely. $10,000.
There's a bounty on people choosing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Who would think that's okay?
Listen.
Except for someone that grew up in a time where bounty related politics and things like that were relevant, were utilized.
And this is where I don't know if it's me, right? And we kind of touched on it last week. And people last week, if I offended anyone, I want to apologize, but I was very passionate about what's going on. The fact that is a discussion in this country right now lets me know that we're dealing with insanity. And the fact that people who are supposed to be on the left and liberal and educated and woke and all of that are entertaining the conversation that it's as if it is valid.
Yeah, right.
Right? It just gets to me on a level that no, the only thing anyone should be saying who's opposed to this is these people are crazy. They don't represent the majority of the people, and someone needs to step in and put an end to this immediately. We have taken polls. We know exactly that 70% and better of the country agrees with a woman's right to choose. Not saying they're pro-abortion, but they're saying it's a woman's right to choose to have one. So that means the little lousy leftover 30% should not get to say what is happening. And the fact that you put a bounty on it, the fact that you said before 6 weeks, when the vast majority of women don't know they're pregnant till 8 weeks and later, is so ridiculous and so insane. The fact that we entertain it and make it a news story and not just speak about the fact of its insanity and the crazy white men that made it happen, and the fact that Joe Biden is probably not going to appoint a Supreme Court person, and he's probably not going to run again, and we probably going to get a Republican for 8 years behind him, and he's going to put the rest of the court in place. We got trouble, folks. We got trouble, and they razzle dazzle you with the COVID and all this other stuff. Y'all need to think about the Supreme Court. You need to think about the insane crap that's going on. Voters' Rights Acts. You can't vote in what is it, like Florida, Texas, Georgia, South Carolina. They rolling it back to before the 60s. Well, how they gonna allow you to vote? Right? And I'm not talking about simple things like getting an ID. Yeah, you should have ID. You should, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the amount of voting places close to where you live and how long they're going to stay open. And the Supreme Court has said that gerrymandering is legal, lawful, and good. I need y'all to think about that for a minute. They said that the government party can design the area where people vote to benefit them. These is y'all people. Y'all put this together. Joe Biden ain't said a word about it yet. Kamala Harris ain't said a word about it yet. It's legal because the Supreme Court said so. Right? And nobody's dealing with it. Nobody's even talking about it. They too busy COVIDing you to death, literally and figuratively. So we need to think about what's really going on.
We can do both. We can do both.
One's more important, though.
We can do both.
But one's more important.
We can do both.
Oh, no, we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right. So
but one definitely, you know why one's more important? Because one is getting so much more press than the other, right? That it makes it uneven.
I think going back real quick, because you said a lot, but going back to the one part about making the laws. I mean, the abortion law stands out to me. I'm a mother of a daughter who is, technically capable of, childbearing age, I would say, in her 20s. And it's not just about abortion, it's Planned Parenthood being attacked. And so access to medical care for Black women who often are underinsured or are experiencing maternal health issues and other elements. But I need to be clear on one thing that you said that's very interesting. When you look at the polls, Black Americans, they poll saying that of a certain age and certain gender, that they do not find abortion to be legal under any circumstance. Okay. They want limitations, and you find less of it with white people, ironically.
They crazy.
And a lot of that is a lot of that is religion, because Black people are attaching it to that.
They're crazy.
So a lot of the white people who are being polled are like, 50% plus abortion under any circumstance, if that's what you choose. That's a choice.
They're a little less crazy.
Black people are heavily leaning toward abortion not being legal under certain circumstances.
Black people in this country is out their damn mind.
And part of that is because of the connection to faux religious morality, and also the lack of understanding of the change, how things change. When we get into the COVID conversation, I'm going to read a quote, and it reminds me very much of why often we are left behind in our mindset.
And you know, hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. Peace to you, Greg. Greg says, leave him alone.
My brother.
Greg says, leave him alone. Let him do your thing. People want to keep up with the times. Let times keep up with you. Want to know what he's talking about? He's talking about you with the Carmelo Anthony comments.
Yeah, okay. I know.
I agree with
Greg,
him. Though.
Greg, you still got most of your hair. I know you ain't braiding it. I know you're not braiding it and putting no beads. I know you're not braiding your hair and putting no beads in it, and neither is Greg Jr.
But you know what's funny? let me just say this to address the comment that you made there. I don't necessarily disagree with you. So let me just say that.
I'm wrong.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that we being us as individuals, not we being you and me as black men in 2021. I just mean we as individuals in time, whatever that time is, we gonna do what we gonna do. I remember when I was young in the 80s, just getting dressed to go and play, and Pops J would have major heat with me if I was wearing jeans on a Sunday. This dude would be like, man, nobody wear no dungarees on Sunday. Call them dungarees.
That's what they is.
There ain't nobody wear no dungarees on Sundays, like dungarees. Yeah. And I would trip off of it because you sound like the old dude, and I'm talking about not you. I'm talking about my pops. You sound like the old dude in the room. Like, we wear jeans on Sundays, pops. This ain't 1955.
And to church.
It's just what it is. I'm 10. I'm wearing jeans on Sunday. Now I can't articulate that quite as fiercely, as forcefully, and as arrogantly in 1984 as I could in 2021. But real talk, I promise you, the thought process is no different. I'm rocking these dungarees. It's Sunday, and I'm not wearing a shirt and tie to chill.
I couldn't wear tennis shoes to school.
So yeah,
no tennis. I had to carry them.
And I know I'm gonna pay for
on
this.
Gym day.
I know I'm gonna pay for this. And if he's listening, I know I'm gonna pay for this. But this the same dude that will come to Virginia, and wear a starched shirt, jeans, and khakis, and be clean, like he about to go somewhere to sit on the couch all day. It's generational. They move different. Like the cats that was born before 1945, they move different. And I say 1945 because the boomers start in 46. From 46 to 65, there's your boomers. And they different to us. I'm talking about the cats before them. That's a whole different way. Like, this dude had heat with me for wearing jeans on a Sunday.
No, be clear. Dungarees.
And was consistent.
Yeah.
Because 25 years later will come to Virginia and be dressed to chill and not go nowhere. It's generational, bruh.
Yeah.
It's generational. Like, like today, my wife said to me, she's like, you wearing pants today? Like, the older I get, the more comfortable I become.
Absolutely.
I'm wearing pants today, but tomorrow it might still be sweats.
Look.
So I'm almost there. I'll give it back to you. So when I look at the Carmelo stuff with the hair and all that, like, I didn't see the clip that you're referring to. So I guess I probably shouldn't comment on it, but I'm going to anyway. Like, let love live, man.
I'm gonna tell you where it started. Let me
live and let live.
Let me hit y'all.
Lenny Kravitz just let love live, and who's the dude? The Beatle. Paul McCartney is
all we need is love.
Well, that's his homeboy, John Lennon.
Yeah.
But Paul said, live and let live.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he did live and let die too, right?
Matter of fact, actually, you're right, and I'm wrong.
Live and let die.
Yeah, 1973. Yeah, Guns N' Roses covered it.
Yeah, so that was a crazy soundtrack. Anyway, I say this.
Now I got to play it in the car the way.
Yeah, I say this. Let me tell you what started that jump off. Blame the Hughes brothers. Because when they did Menace to Society, and Old Dog was the toughest guy in the place who stayed alive
with
his girl braids.
With his girl
cornrows,
braids,
just call 'em
cornrows, and khakis and wife beater.
Yeah. So that made
Old Dog
that
did
made
have
it
cornrows.
gangster.
They did hang down.
That made it gangster for all these young boys to start braiding their hair down the side. Then they took it to another level with my man who did Hey Baby. What was his name? Hey Baby. Hey Baby. Hey Baby.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh,
he
I don't
had
remember his name.
he had I think it was
Do you know what
Boots-
he's talking
No,
about?
Of course, I
Yeah.
know the
I have
song.
no idea.
You don't know about Hey Baby?
I used
Hey
to love
Baby?
that
I
Hey
say
Baby?
that. I say
Hey
that.
Baby?
I say that.
It's a song.
I actually thought it was cute back then.
It's a
and
song.
now, please don't
So
do that.
so this
Hey Steph, can you Google it?
So wait,
Okay.
so
okay.
this boy had the braids, but then he had the little beads in them, black and white.
Hurricane Chris.
Hurricane Chris
Stop
had the
playing,
little
yo.
beads in there.
You got a picture?
Had the little beads in his hair, right? And I was like,
No
we
way.
we done lost it.
He looks like he needs to hang out with his
But he
friends.
looked gangster.
He looks like him and his homeboys need to wear their clothes backwards and
Yeah.
jump around.
So A Baby,
Yes.
so A Baby, and then it just
That
got
was 2007.
right, but then
Yeah.
it just got more and more crazy and more effeminate. I say this, and I've said it since I was 30 years old, because that's when my daughter was born. I said, there's no way in the world that a grown man should have a hairdo that his daughter could possibly have the same hairdo.
I mean, I don't.
It should never
I don't
occur.
I don't disagree with you.
Y'all should never sit in the same chair.
I
If
don't-
the person who did your daughter hair is doing your hair, you're messing up, man. Right? And y'all can come for me forever. I'ma die on that hill. I'ma die on that hill.
Hey, look.
Now you
I don't
talking to
disagree
look, you
with
talking
you,
to a man
I don't
that
want to date a man rocking them. but
listen. You
know,
talking to a man from in
I-
grade school, from first grade to sixth grade. I could not wear tennis shoes to school. My mama wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
If I had a gym
Yeah.
day, I could carry my tennis shoes in a bag, but I had to have on trousers and dress shoes
called them
when I went to
trousers.
school.
He called them trousers, y'all. He
Right?
called them trousers.
Right?
Slacks.
So that was what it was.
Slacks,
Now,
right?
when I went to junior high, the funny thing is I went to private school, and guess what? We also had to wear dress shoes and trousers and button-up shirts to school every day. So I didn't get to wear regular clothes to school. So that was my life. So that's what I understand. And people, look, I believe in dressing appropriately, right? I see a lot of people outside.
Who
a lot of
determines
men,
appropriate?
the event, circumstance. Why? Listen. Why do you have on a full? Let's pick a. All right, no, let's pick a team. Philadelphia. Why do you have on the Philadelphia 76er jersey, shorts, sneakers, and socks, and you're going to the movies? You're not going to play basketball.
Here's where I'm going
and
to
you're not on the team.
Here's where I'm going to dispute you.
You're not going to the game to represent the team. You're going to the movie theater and out to dinner in a restaurant, and you got on a tank top jersey, gym shorts, and sneakers. You are out of place. You are dressed inappropriately. You are offending people, right? See, here's the thing. In a common,
That's where you lost.
Now
me.
wait, watch. I'm gonna show you
That's
something.
where you lost. me.
Wait, let me.
I was going to be with you until you said you offended.
But let me
people.
break down the offense. Let me
Okay.
break down the offense.
Okay.
And this is how I feel about it, right?
Okay.
If you don't wash yourself and you stink and you go in public, you offending people. Right? You are offend. You know
That's
why?
different.
No,
doing?
no, but no. I'm
What are we
gonna
doing
break
here?
it down for you. I'm
That's
gonna break.
different.
Give me a minute to break it
I
down.
got a couple
Whenever-
of comments. I got
wait.
a couple of comments in social media, so make it quick. I
Okay.
want to get them
Whenever you are in the public, whenever you are engaging with people in a certain amount of distance, you have to be cognizant of the people who are around you and your surroundings. And certain things are normal and certain things are abnormal. And when you are behaving abnormal, some may be offended. So you need to be cognizant of your surroundings and the things you do and the way you present yourself.
That's officially
Michelle Wilson is listening right now, and I know she agrees with him.
I mean,
I would put good money on it.
I
That she
mean,
agrees with
most
that.
of the people who are our age, born in the late 60s and the 70s, we, that's how we was raised. So I'm not disagreeing with you on
And
that
we did
level.
dress up to
I'm
go to the
also
movies.
As
hold
much
on,
as
hold
I
on, hold
love a
on.
beautiful woman,
I'm
if
also
you out on the bus in public with your bra top on that's lace and I can see your nipples and some shorts, you inappropriate.
I mean,
You inappropriate.
There's the inappropriate that is determined by the external versus the appropriate determined by the internal. Here's what I mean. I don't care what you think. I promise you, I don't care what you think about what I'm wearing. There's something to be said to somebody that is sincere when they say that. Now, for the record, I agree with you. For the record, I agree with you. But y'all also know I'm a moderate. And I'm the dude that says, while I have my feelings about things, my feeling about your thing is irrelevant. I don't care what you think about what I do.
34 years
and
I
but
voted
what
as a
I'm
Republican.
wearing.
I'm sorry. I'm
You
conservative.
know what I'm saying? And obviously, I'm not speaking to you directly, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm the person who is going to roll up at a, all right, I give you a perfect example, right? I am someone who, from youth, has been a notorious I hate to get dressed up type of cat. Like, I went through this phase in the first few years after college where I thought it was appropriate for me to be wearing slacks and dress shoes all the time. So from about 22 to about 26, that's how I moved. But that's a 4-year period and 47 years of life that just didn't really feel comfortable. I always been a type of person. I don't be comfortable with t-shirts, sweatpants, jeans. I'm gonna wear some Timbs when it's cold. And these days I'm gonna wear some Crocs when it's not. You know, and you're not gonna tell me that I don't belong in church dressed the way I want to dress. Now, I know what's appropriate traditionally. You probably want to be dressed a little bit more, but the Lord knows my heart. And if the Lord knows my heart, he don't care how I'm rolling up in here as long as I'm on my knees and I'm praying. Whether I agree with the words that I'm saying to you right now,
There's plenty of people that feel
I'm
that way.
telling you this because this is a very
10
fair,
seconds.
it's a very fair perspective. You know, I'm one that I was taught a certain kind of way, but I also didn't wear a tie when I got married. Why? Because I don't like ties. I hate ties. I refuse to wear one.
Okay.
I refuse to wear one. I wear a tie once a month for certain reasons. Okay.
All right.
And that's it. And that's the only reason why I wear a tie. So that's just, to speak to you now before you jump in and tell me how crazy I am, because I know you're going to, because I'm kind of feeling crazy right now. And that's all right, because that's just what we do here. I'm going to get a couple of comments in from social media because they've been out there for a while and our listeners have been great. They've been hanging in there with us, and I haven't been able to get them all in. So let's go back.
Get them all in.
Let's go back. Let's start with Sue. Sue says, John, those styles have been around forever. It's just in our front eye right now. She's talking about the hair. You've been down here too long. You've been out here too long, John. You calling sneakers tennis shoes. she got a point. She got a point.
No, that's what they was in New York for me.
I think I fluctuate. I'm trying to think about my own vernacular.
I always say sneakers.
I think I fluctuate.
Oh no, I say
between the
sneakers, but I'm saying what I
Sneakers
was
is what-
told. I'm not saying what I say. I'm saying what I was told by my mama. You cannot wear your tennis shoes to school. If you got
Sneakers-
gym, you carry them.
Sneakers is
Sneakers is
a more natural term for me. But I know I've said tennis shoes. So I've been here 29 of my 47 years. So
No, I bought that for.
But
I
see
bought
one.
Sue. I brought it with me. I brought it with me.
All right, so let me see. Greg says, John, you can't give somebody a dress code, homie. Just don't impose it on somebody else. I can dig that. I'm with Greg on that one. Daryl says, John, you're right. Your presence speaks volumes. Michelle says,
Exactly
do
what
what you do, wear what you wear, and pay the price of the ticket to ride. I can dig
Because her
that.
point is you're gonna be judged.
Yep. Yep. But when you get to a point in your life where it
You
don't
don't
matter,
care.
you don't
Right,
care.
right, right,
This is
right.
what happens to you. I'm gonna tell you a transparent moment. I'm gonna get back to the comments. Transparent moment. Yeah, I'm a middle-aged man. I don't care what you think.
You're always dressed comfortable.
I'm a middle-aged man. Okay,
Yes,
I
you
may
too.
not look like it,
I'm gonna get to that.
but I'm a middle-aged man, and the older I get, the less I care about any of that stuff.
Be out here in swim trunks.
Let me
and
tell you something.
t-shirt.
I might just show up at church in some sweatpants and some Crocs because the
I mean,
Lord
knows
knows
my
my
heart.
heart, man. Come on, ain't that what they tell you in Christian life?
Come as you are.
Yeah. All right. I'm clowning, but I'm so sincere. All right. Let's see. Steph, you commented, yes, appropriate dress is what I would think so. And Sue says the church says or used to say, come as you
That's
are.
right. That's right. They did.
Yeah.
More so now.
Daryl says, unfortunately, we live in a society that will judge you off the rip based on your appearance. Harkening back to what I said about 60 seconds ago, I'm middle-aged and I don't care what you think no more. And I will implore you, I'm clowning and obviously I'm hyping it up a little bit, but I'm being sincere in the words that I'm using. Stop caring about what people think, man. My daughter's 18. She's in the first few weeks of college. And man, this stage of parenthood is a trip because I really want her to get, from the time she could hear me talking up till now, like all the lessons, all the stuff that I learned, all of the stuff that, has come with making me the way that I am. I want to share that with the people who I have been entrusted with leading and guiding. And my child is one of them. And one of the lessons that I wish that I could like hardwire into her that she's gonna have to learn on her own, just like I learned on my own, is don't be caring what people think, yo, because they're gonna say what they're gonna say no matter what. And I know that that's not quite what we talking about when we talk about dress code, but on this show, y'all know how we do. A simple phrase could take a conversation in a completely different direction. This is one of them moments. We can't be worrying about what people think because people will put their crap on you, and the next thing you know, you feeling away because of it. You know what I'm saying? So if it's as simple as come as you are with church, like what if I don't have the resources to wear a tie?
Listen. Here's my point. Here's my point with that.
And I'm not just
no. But here's what I'm saying about like church.
All over with
you are supposed to come as you are,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But if you come into church, it should be a point to where you've been coming, that you have been elevated, where the church has came together, right? If you don't have the means or whatever the case is, and just made it a situation. I ain't talking about no suit, but maybe a few button-down shirts, right? Or something that, and it is according to the church, because there are churches nowadays that encourage you to come in sweats and shorts and all kind of stuff, and the pastor's up there preaching the gospel in a tank top, and that's cool with them. So I think it's more the venue, right? And it's not a blanket. In New York, they have they have Lincoln Center, right? So during the week, they have rehearsal performances, and people come a lot of times very casually, But on the weekends, when they have the actual performance and stuff, people are encouraged to come black tie, because that the audience, although they are listening, are part of the performance, and you want to have an elevated experience in such a way that you feel the whole thing. Now, everybody's not going to have on a tux with a bow tie, but the gentlemen are expected to have a jacket, and the women are expected to be in a certain presentable way, not in another way. Like, you're not going to dress the same to see the New York Philharmonic as you do to see Beyonce, right? It's just not. You can be inappropriate either way.
Let me ask.
See what I'm saying?
Let me ask.
You can be wrong. You can be all dressed up and you still inappropriate because you got on a tie and tux at Summer Jam. You inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, you could be two up and you could be two down, and that point's well taken.
That's what I mean about appropriate.
And that point's well taken. And I went on my soapbox moment to make the point of come as you are, do what you want, and don't be letting nobody tell you that you're wrong based upon what you feel on the inside of you. Because at the end of the day, people going to steer you the way they want you to go, and that might not always be the way you need to be going. You know what I'm saying? So maybe not what we're talking about, but that's the spirit that I'm in right now. Let me just ask it this way, Steph. You know, we talking about folks and their feelings, and we're talking about how we're supposed to be socially. Let's talk a little bit about social norms, and let's talk about appropriate versus inappropriate, and how much should it matter. How is it that we raise our children? Do we care so much about what other folks are saying we should be doing? Or should we be raising our children towards social norms? I mean, we can look at it a couple of different ways. I mean, we're in this, and it's a different kind of topic than what we originally talked about. But I think it's something that it jumped off with clothes, but you know, people are different. We're dealing with different times. We're dealing with different situations. We're dealing with different topics, with folks now feeling more empowered to be themselves in a way that we maybe didn't have in the past. And is it okay for us to impose our crap, not just on our children, but on other people?
I think there are always going to be social norms. There's always going to be a standard because that is how societies are built. That's how we learn to engage with one another. And then there are social norms that are created that, we don't want, the social norms of the Jim Crow era. We don't want those social norms. They were created by people who clearly didn't have the greater good in mind. They had their greater good in mind. But I do think social norms are relevant. I think there are always going to be things that you have to instill in your children. A social norm of an expectation of being truthful when you're interacting with one another. A social norm of using your baseline manners, not stepping over people, those are all things that are kind of standard. However, we should recognize that social norms change generationally. And so what feels normal, which is even debatable, what feels normal to Gen X may not feel normal to millennials, may not feel normal to Gen Z. And because it doesn't feel normal doesn't mean it's wrong. So I think there are some generally accepted social norms of how we engage directly with one another. But those norms have nothing to do with your personal aesthetic or how you choose to look. I don't care about that. That's not putting a hitch in my giddy up, as they say. That's not doing anything to me. It is teaching my children to understand socially acceptable behaviors so that they can go into their workspaces or build businesses or go to college and be able to engage and interact with their peers. Those things are always going to be there. Or the social norms and expectations of saying to my children, listen, mom is pretty flexible, I'm very open, there's lots of conversations I'm willing to have. You might go to grandma's house and that's not acceptable. Grandma, her social norms are children are seen and not heard. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. But when we're over at grandma's, the kids go play and the grown-ups go and chat and so on and so forth. You have to, you may not like something. I may not like that John doesn't want to see people dressed a certain way or what have you. But I understand what is created or crafted as a norm generationally. And I'm willing to accept that as long as it's not turning that norm and saying, well, now I expect everybody to live according to that norm. Because some social norms, there's a difference between social norms and social trends. And we could really get into the space of saying, when you're disagreeing with clothing, hair, those things, that is trend oriented. It's pop culture driven. It's all of the things that, I posted the picture of Aretha Franklin with no bra and a mesh top on standing next to the founder of Soul Train, Don Cornelius. And that was potentially socially normal in her age group, but not from where she came from in the church at that time. The church wouldn't like that, but they're not a part of the generation or the social grouping that she's with. So when we look at social norms, it's not that there's one social norm for all of society, except for some of the baselines. And those things, the things that are baselines, are typically the things that definitely impact you if I do them. It's socially abnormal to think that the way to react to someone disagreeing with you is to hit them. It's so socially abnormal that it is illegal, right? It is not socially abnormal for a cross-dresser or someone who decides that they want to be a cross-dresser or is cross-dressing. It is not socially abnormal anymore. It may be generationally unacceptable, but socially normative is where it sits now. And that immediately goes back to my reasoning for why I said who is leading the charge, having the conversations about the laws that are going to impact people that are 3 generations removed from them. They need to go away. Those people cannot be leading the conversation. They can be considered, but they should not be the ones that ultimately decide what comes to the table, because they're less likely to understand that the social norm is no longer that trends aren't what you decide you want to legislate against, right? They're not going to understand that. So I think it's more important that makes my point right there, is that they are looking at trends, not social norms. They're looking at morality policing, not social norms, and then when the social norms get put in there on top of everything else, you're now legislating for 1942 and not 2000, almost 22. And it becomes a problem.
So my thing is, what I've seen, and I could be wrong, but this is just my personal observation. It seems that younger people or younger adults are less willing to find common ground than the older adults, right? So your younger adults have this thing like, we're right and y'all are wrong because you're old and you just don't understand.
Another area one of our listeners would probably agree with you on.
So it's like,
I've heard this argument.
So when a restaurant says no shoes, no shirt, no service, right? And younger people be like, the hell with you. I can come in here and there's no law against me not wearing a shirt. Yeah, but you're inappropriate, right? I don't care.
But I don't think that's where they are.
No, a lot of them are. They feel like they should be able to do whatever it is they want to do, especially if there's no law on the books about it that says that. I've seen there's like
and
a lot of.
You don't think that perception is clouded somewhat by your generational?
Possibly. Look, I said this is my personal observation.
And I'm not fully defending that.
Recently, listen, I'm a guy, right? I'm a big advocate of law, right? Of what's called natural law. A lot of people who know it know what I'm talking about, versus a lot of other stuff, right? And I believe in a person's rights, and you should, But I've seen a lot of memes lately with a lot of young people unnecessarily causing problems with police about stuff that doesn't need to be a problem.
I would agree with that.
So
some antagonizing positions.
So you can effectively have your rights, right? But at the same time, not cause a problem. At the bottom line is you want to get where you're going as quickly as possible. But you're going to take an extra hour to prove a meaningless point about what you have the right to do and not do. It's kind of like it's just a bit much. And I might have felt different 30 years ago. I might have, because I've done some outlandish stuff in the name of what's my natural right to do versus what this policeman trying to tell me to do. I've done it, so I know it. But at a certain point, you got to understand where that common ground comes in at, because there is some common ground. Like, look, just like this. If a guy comes off the beach and he's got on his swim trunks and a pair of sandals, no shirt, and he walks into the supermarket, I think the man in the supermarket should say, man, you got to put a shirt on before you come in here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I feel the same way. A girl, she's on the beach, she got on a bikini. right? She gonna put on some slippers and walk into the supermarket. Miss,
Throw a t-shirt.
put it like something around the bottom or a t-shirt or something. Do something. Just because it doesn't, it's good there, it's not good here.
Right.
And we're not
just
talking
because
about
it's not illegal,
right,
doesn't mean it's
because
okay.
slavery was legal.
Right.
You see
And
what I'm saying?
I do want to address what you're saying, because I do agree with you to some degree that there are a lot of antagonistic stances being taken just to prove the point of autonomy. I am my own person. I do what I want, and therefore, and for instance, I saw a TikTok video today, and a officer was turning a corner. There was a guy that was walking very, just kind of, walking up the street, no big deal, and he was just patrolling, and he said, "Hey," like "hi," out of his window, and it immediately became a confrontation. Don't say hi to me. And by the third video, he was in handcuffs, because now you've antagonized this man who has the authority to mess with you, right? So he had said at one point, he was like, "Man, you don't," he's like, "All I did was say hi. Man, I only want you to say hi to me." Those were one of those moments where I was like, "All right, young, just hey and keep it moving."
Right, listen,
Hey and keep it moving.
but here goes the thing. He's right. But what was the cost he paid to be right?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You see what I'm saying? Because
So
I've been there.
It's knowing where
I've
to
been
toe
there.
the line. Like,
I have been there.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, a lot of people all the time, like back in the day, I was an advocate of understanding taxes and your rights and your taxes and so on and so forth, and went through a lot of different situations with a lot of different people. And when it was all said and done, about 10 years in, I realized this: if you feel like you want to pay as little taxes as possible, the government says it's your responsibility to pay as little taxes as possible. Get you a good accountant.
Yeah.
Right. Forget about all this backdoor,
not
this,
gonna
that,
pay at
this, that,
all,
whatever.
and-
Like what it says, and find this little piece of the law that says something different. Because what you're doing is you working harder, not smarter. Right. So use your brain. Get you a good account. If you got enough money that it makes a difference, right? Get you a good accountant, and your accountant will make sure that you pay as little taxes as possible. That's it. All the other stuff is some personal stuff, and you're going to put yourself into a situation where you spending more time and money trying to accomplish something that you can accomplish very easily.
Ain't no Hastel Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. That would be an example. The interaction that you mentioned, Dave Chappelle will call that when keeping it real goes wrong.
That's exactly
yeah.
right. and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Because the third video was him in cuffs. Because now the officer found something. I told you to get out of the. He was trying to cross the street. Officer said, "Get out of the street." I'm crossing the street. Well, get out of it faster.
Every time,
because now you mess with this man's ego.
Every time I've ever been pulled over, which is probably more than some folks in a different demographic, which we're going to talk about how different demographics are treated in the next story, which will be our final topic of the night. But every time I've ever been pulled over, the one thing that I don't do, even sometimes to my own detriment, is lie. They ask me a question, just tell the truth, because they're going to find out anyway, and they're going to use what they find against you if you don't keep it funky with them from the beginning. Have you been drinking? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. How much have you had to drink? This amount. Where you going? Home.
Yeah.
You going home? Yeah. Why? Because I've been drinking.
Because it's time.
You know what I'm saying?
Time to go home.
And you can be defiant. You can be defiant and talk tough and all that kind of stuff. One thing that Pops J, who's the greatest man I've ever known in my life, my father. I pick on him and I tease him, but he's literally the greatest man I've ever known in my life. And he'll be embarrassed to hear me tell him that, but it's my show. I say what I want to say. So you gotta take your flowers, old man. But one of the things that he taught me and my brother and my sister is go home. Just go home. We can worry about all that other stuff later.
Later, yep.
But just go home.
Yeah.
You know,
Center your
now
outcome.
I understand the natural, because you my son. I know, and he didn't say these things, but I'm saying it because I'm his son, and I know how he thought, because I know how I think. Because you my son, I know you wanna say more, you wanna do more, you wanna own the situation, and you wanna demand respect for yourself, but you are not in control no matter what you think. And at the end of the day, the key and the goal is to go home.
Absolutely. Everything
So
else is later.
everything else is later. So you can sit there and you can talk tough. I remember in May of 1992, late May, right before my birthday, late May 1992. I won't get too deep into the story because the person who I'm speaking of is a prominent member of uh, the Jersey City government. But I remember being in a car at eight. No, I'm not even 18 yet, 17 years old in Jersey City, and we get pulled over, and we got pulled over some bullshit. And the person who's in the car with me was very chatty about the fact that we got pulled over on some bullshit, and this person was like, nah, this ain't cool. We didn't do anything wrong. Like, why are they messing with us? And this person is in a position now to be able to deal with that in a different kind of way. But at the time, we were 17-year-old boys. And you ain't got no power. You can talk all of the trash you want. Go home. Just go home. Live to fight another day. And, again, I feel I feel like I got anecdotes tonight that may or may not be specific to what we're talking about, but when it's in your spirit, you got to share it. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy and Let me get a couple of comments in before we take this final turn. Daryl says, my brother Marcus, you and I today can wear a burlap sack and shatter any perceived notions. It's about creating character and substance of oneself. He's texting quickly and he's moving around, so he's apologizing. He's going kind of fast, but he wants to make sure that we get his point. We got you, brother. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you sharing your time with us tonight as you move through your evening and whatever it is you're doing. You're spending some time with us, and that's something that we want to thank you for. Let's see. Greg says, there are some places or instances that would be considered inappropriate or improper or inappropriate. If it's no maintenance involved, then it's their right. My opinion. Maintenance, not maintenance. He's correct himself as well. He's got some typos. But I think we get the spirit of what it is that you're saying. So thank you, Greg, as well, for rocking. Greg and Daryl, appreciate y'all both. And of course, my big sis Lady Z is checking us out. She's just tripping off of all of us and everything that we got going on. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so we're gonna move into our final topic of the night. Steph, I want you in on this one first. I have had conversations with folks very, very briefly because this is a story that I haven't paid much attention to, but it leads me to a bigger conversation. This story is about the woman that has been found dead in Wyoming that appears to be Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito was the young woman who we know had gone on a road trip with her boyfriend. And apparently they did their cross country road trip. And the last thing that we saw of her is the interaction that her and her boyfriend had with the police, where they got caught on surveillance. I guess they got pulled over and they had heat with the police for whatever reason. They ended up going on their way. And now I think her last communication with her family was on September 11th, which what's today's date? Today's 20th, and they found a body that is alleged to be hers. So we talking about a week from the time she last communicated.
Sure that's the actual, because they're not sure if it was
there.
someone else.
Exactly, that's the other piece. They are not sure if the communication that they allegedly got on September 11th was from her or from someone else. Her fiance Brian Laundrie has been missing since her disappearance, and since the last we have heard from her. They have been searching his Florida property, his family's properties, and doing all kinds of searches for him, and he is yet to be found. Now, before I turn the con over to you guys, normally this isn't the kind of story that we do on the show, but the reason why we're doing this story on the show tonight is because I've had conversations with some folks, and we're gonna have with you guys the story and why we're having it. And it's salacious. Here you have this road trip story of this young woman and her boyfriend. They go cross country and they're looking at the world, and she had been blogging it, letting the world know, and now she's missing, and we're supposed to care. And yeah, we care, but are we supposed to care on a national level?
They're missing.
Well, I'm getting there. Sometimes I got to spin a tail. I'm almost there. You know, I'm spinning the tail. The fact that here we have this woman that's missing, and it's a national story. And we have black folk, me, you, Steph, others, who call foul because we got this white girl that's missing, and now the whole country is looking for her. When we can look, I do missing children every week on the show. 10 years. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we celebrated 10 years of me being on the radio. And I've been doing missing kids for 10 years. Keisha Jacobs, right here in Richmond, Virginia, has been missing for more than half of the time we've been on the show, and I have never on the air, and I've never heard her story told on a national level.
Platform. Exactly.
Never, not once, ever, ever. And that is not to cast aspersions on Gabby Petito. I wish that she had been found and her outcome was different. That is not where I'm going. Where I'm going is privilege in this country makes your existence and your disappearance more of a priority than maybe someone else. That's what I want to talk about here. Steph, you up first. You had this white girl that's missing. And we've talked about missing white girls before. We've talked about Taylor Beal here in Richmond, who was murdered, VCU. We talked about Natalie Holloway, who was missing in what do you call Aruba. We talked about other national white girl stories.
Yeah, especially
the runaway
UVA
bride, the UVA, the runaway bride. You know, and it is a very rare situation where you have a national story of a missing adult that ain't a white woman. It is very rare that we have a story in this country of a missing person, national, that's not a white woman. Let's talk about it. Steph, you up first.
So, you know, crimes against Black women often go under investigated and are not typically and undersolved. And you can even go to the Cleveland, the serial killer out in Cleveland, how long he was killing Black women. There were Black women that escaped him and went and told their stories, and their stories weren't followed up on. And people love to immediately dismiss it and say, well, you know, these were women who no one would be looking for. They were drug addicts or they were prostitutes. This is happening to little girls. DC's rate of child disappearances is one of the highest in the nation. And it's literally a district, not considered a state. This area of Wyoming where she went missing, 710 indigenous women have gone missing over the last 9 years. This amount of campaign has not been put behind it. And it's very clear where news stories, as John pointed out earlier, will follow. It's no longer about, you know, the news needs you to watch. And a story about a missing little Black girl doesn't sell because we are not the most loved people in America. And so running a story night after night after night about a missing Black woman is not the thing that's going to get the world turned up and Twitter going and all the media platforms raging. And so they follow where they know the interest of the country is. And the interest of the country is always going to prioritize blonde hair, blue eyes, and white skin. It's always going to do that. It was built around that, the standard of beauty and all these other things. So it's unfortunate that it happens this way, but you can even look back. Not too long ago, there was a Black woman. They were looking for her. They did so little to look for her, and ultimately found her in a trunk on her street, in a car parked right there near her home. And a neighbor had to call and say, "This car has just been sitting here."
Wasn't like a week later,
It was a week later before they found her in the trunk.
and it been there the whole time.
Had been there the entire time. Had been there the entire time. When you look at this Gabby Petito story, it's definitely tragic. You know, I think all of us, all three of us have daughters. None of us want our daughters to experience this, but there was even privilege extended during the case. Not only was privilege extended in how they prioritized looking for this young woman, privilege was extended to the person of interest. He wasn't taken out of the home. He wasn't held hot. He wasn't held at, he wasn't labeled a person of interest so that he could be held and questioned. He immediately lawyered up. They allowed that. They didn't track him. He slips off into the swamps near his home. You know, it's just all kinds of things. So you can see the privilege both extended to the victim and the potential victimizer in this case. And it always goes back to, even if they had investigated hard enough, the one thing you could count on is they were going to snatch up some Black man, and it wouldn't have even been about the fact that this Black woman was missing. It would have simply been about retribution and punishment. The fact that punishment is typically leveled at us. But the other side of it is, for the victims, when the victims are Black, it's typically under-investigated, under-cared for, and long unsolved. And we should be angry about that, because these are resources that we pay for, that we source, that we advocate for in many cases. You have plenty of Black people who were not on the defund the police campaign, even though it was just bad salesmanship more than it was a bad concept. And now here we are, we're standing in a space where they found this woman, needle in a haystack. Now, granted, they got good tips at the end from someone who happened to be able to say, "This is the last place I saw the vehicle." But you got to really think about the fact that these young people were traveling through Utah, Wyoming, through all these national parks. They got no help from him, and they still put out enough press for people to be interested enough to at least be able to drive a tip. And that's the point I want people to focus on. It's not always that you're looking for the police to immediately solve things. It's that we know a significant amount of crimes are solved by police because of the public. But the fact that Black women missing and Black girls missing are not put out in front of the public enough, it immediately makes it statistically less possible that they will be found or protected. And we should be bothered by that, because we pay these people.
Okay. I want to say two things. First of all, you said something about the way the interest of the country. The interest of the country is what media tells them it is. Yeah, these people don't have an interest. It's dictated to them by the 5 families who own every piece of media in the world. It's the truth. Every source of media, radio, television, film.
I just always chuckle when I hear that line.
But it's the truth. There are 5 companies that own every piece of media,
and every president is related some kind of way too.
Mostly except for 2, I think.
Yeah,
one way. But these are facts. These are not opinions. They're proven or disproven, and these both have been proven. It sounds a little bit outrageous, and people like to throw it in the conspiracy theory column.
Me for this.
But guess what? It's fact. It's fact. It's not hyperbole. It's just the way it is.
I don't want the point about Black women getting lost. Do you guys?
No. I'm going to that. Right? The people's interest is what has been dictated to them. Right? Now, just last year, was it last year or the year before? They found like 50 children in a trailer somewhere. Was that like last year?
Late last year.
Right? And it came on the news one night and it was over, right? They ain't talk about. We don't know what happened to the people that took them. We don't know who these people are. We don't know about their background. We don't know if they're in jail. We don't know if the kids got back to their parents. We don't know nothing about that. Right? I don't know how many children went missing in the country today, but I know that COVID surpassed the Spanish flu. But they can't tell me how many children went missing, black and white. But they really ain't gonna tell me about the black children. I guarantee you that. Right? I don't know how many black women went missing today or last week and have been missing forever. Right? This girl going missing is tragic, is horrible. You're right. Right? This is what I know. I know this country has enough resources, right? That if they want to solve a crime, they will solve a crime. We got satellites, we got cameras everywhere, we got facial recognition, right? We got things in cars that tell you where they are that aren't GPS, it's just part of the car. They got electrical systems, computers in the car that can be tracked when they want to track them, right? But there's a dollar value based on that. Jay-Z had a line in a song he did with Kanye. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know. He's like, people know the price of everything, but know the value of nothing, right? And that's the sad part. What people aren't understanding is, right? You said about them finding this girl on the tip, on the this one. That's because there was resources allocated to finding out what happened to this girl.
Right. That's my point.
Right? And these are the same resources that we all pay for in one way or another, via taxes, via working, via our existence. Our existence is part of what the country uses to make money on a national level. We got this many people in our country that's going to translate to this much money over years. And this is why they can borrow money they don't have. Right? All of this comes back down to us as a people, but we don't seem to get angry, as you said, about it when our sources are allocated way one way and zero another way. Right? The news on a local level and on a national level should minimally spend 5 minutes a night talking about some missing child or some missing woman, regardless of her social status, income, or race, or sexual orientation, right? We need to be talking about that. We need to be talking about missing men. Men go missing too. Right? Tragic things happen to men. And we don't want to talk about it. Going to the police and what happened? This man is missing. I guess he don't like you no more. Right? I don't know how many missing men reports get made, but people don't make them. I don't think. That might be something we need to look up. Men just go missing. Well, he missing. He got a family on the other side. I don't know what happened to that man. And this is tragic. This is tragic. It's pathetic, right? And people need to realize what's going on in the world. You need to take a minute to stop and think, and stop letting your minds be overloaded with nonsense. Well, no. How about this? Not nonsense, because everything is relative to an individual, right? People will see things differently. But know that if there's something, notice what's missing. Notice what's missing. Take time to realize that you've watched 4 hours of news programming and no one has told you about a missing child. But I guarantee you, in your county, a child went missing today. In 4 hours of news, they'll tell you about the weather. They'll tell you about a dog. They'll tell you about an accident. They'll tell you about whatever they want to tell you about, except for that missing child. And here goes the problem. Y'all are giving ammunition to the nuts on the right to talk about Hillary Clinton eating babies in the pizza parlor basement. because you're not willing to talk about some tragic stuff that's going on. And why are you not willing to talk about it? Because people don't care. People care. People want to know. But you're going to decide what the news is. You're going to decide what people want to know about. And people are going to go for it. People are going to go for it. And look, I'm done with it. People, please pay attention. Forget about what they're saying. Think about what they're not saying. That's a model that I live by. Because whatever they don't want you to know is what you want to find out. Where you at with it, Marcus?
And I have staff Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. She's so right. We need to use our resources like they do and not wait for other help. We have and are the power. And one of our listeners said that. And that's just a real talk. I have gotten to the point where I'm going to do my work. Whatever my work looks and feels like, I'm going to do my work. We do this podcast we've done for 10 years in some variation. And, we've done the work of trying to find these people. And I've gone through the emotions of the frustration of, am I the only one that cares? Because real talk, every missing child that I talk about on this show, I post on social media. And in the wording, it says, ain't no hashtag Marcus J on Legacy and that radio profiles a missing child every show, every week. Please share this. And I got the same 3 people that share it every week. Everybody else sees it and they keep it moving. Now, these are people who will like a picture of my daughter. If I post a picture of my daughter, she'll get 100 likes. My daughter's the only thing that I'll post that'll get 100 likes, right? But other stuff, important stuff, sharing our stuff about how we can do our own work, don't get the attention from our own people. And so we know we see it. We see it. You're going to see the pretty 18-year-old. You're going to like that. You see that. But you don't see the missing 14-year-old. So while I am very frustrated with how the media portrays us and how the media has a lack of attention given to us and our issues and the things that are important to us, I also like to look at our own people and say, do you support what you see that comes from your own people? If I want to talk about Beyonce, put a post out about how it's her birthday on September 4th, 1981. I know she turned 40. Okay. I've heard that lie too, and I'm not convinced that she's only 40 either. But if I post that, it's going to get love. People going to support it. It's going to get the likes. It's going to get the shares and all that kind of stuff. But the work, the same people who see it and like it when it's Beyonce are the same people who see it and ignore it when it's the work. And so while I can be frustrated, and I am, with regards to how the mainstream media puts out our issues and looks for our missing and celebrates our victories and all that sort of thing, calling us out too. I'm calling us out too. Because for some reason, our people, all people, we like to celebrate and promote bullshit and nonsense. We like to put about the things that may not be positive. Certain TV shows, which I ain't gonna call none of them out. You've been listening to the show for 10 years. You know what shows I'm talking about, where they're designed to make us seem like we're adversarial towards each other. Make it seem like we're hating to one another. So when I see how they treat us, we call ourselves the N-word freely. And we'll argue with each other about the right to do so. but then we'll fight somebody white for doing it. What is that about? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it upsets me and it frustrates me. So to come full circle, when we see this white girl who's been missing, there has been a concerted effort around making sure that that story has gotten out. And the search parties. We like to get together with t-shirts when it's the end. I don't see us rallying around each other in crisis like other communities do for their people in crisis. And we want to throw shade at people who speak like Marcus J is speaking right now. Bring it. I could take it. Doing this a long time. 804-402-2893. Let's talk about how we don't put our best foot forward when we have an issue that we want our enemy to promote for us, like our own missing people. I said it. Somebody wants to come for me? Let's discuss it. 804-402-2893. Ain't no Hastel Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Net Radio. I don't know if y'all realize that this show makes more than a difference. This is a new era of realness. I salute you guys for subject matter and all out good content. You know what? I appreciate that, Greg. I appreciate that more than you know, because this is a labor of love for me. This ain't me trying to get people to watch. It's not what this is about for John. Steph doesn't care about how many people are watching and listening. What we care about is making sure that the message gets out to those folks who are about that life, who are about understanding what's real and understand the conversations that need to be had for real, for real. And so thank you. Thank you for understanding that. Thank you for co-signing that. Thank you for saying that, because that shit's personal to me. It's been since the first week of September in 2011. Ain't no Hastel Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. At this time in the show, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and that's profile a missing and/or exploited child. I'm doing the work, just like John's doing the work, just like Steph is doing the work. If you watching and you listening right now, I already posted these missing children in social media. So wherever you watching from, it's already there. You gonna share it? You gonna like it? You gonna help try to find these kids? Because if you're not, then no shade, but then you just not. We looking for James Okpoti. James Okpoti has been missing from here in the Cap City, Henrico County, in Richmond, Virginia, since July 14, 2021. 17-year-old black male. He's tall. He's 5'11", weighs 150 pounds. Black hair, brown eyes. Last seen on July 14th. He's got a nose piercing, and both his ears are pierced. If you've seen James Okpoti, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. Tonight, we're also looking for Denzel Thorne Jr. Denzel Thorne Jr. has been missing since September 19, 2021. That's this weekend, y'all. We talking about just a couple of days ago. He's missing from Hopewell, Virginia. For those folks who may not be familiar with Hopewell, Hopewell is about maybe 20, 30 minutes southeast of us here in the capital city of Richmond, Virginia. It's closer to the Petersburg area for those folks who may not be in the immediate area, but you have questions about where this missing child, Denzel Thorne Jr., might be from. He's a light-skinned black dude. He's got the little hair like we used to have in the 80s and 90s, the little flat top, the little high top fade. Handsome young boy. He's 13 years old. He's 5'4", and he weighs 130 pounds. He was last seen wearing a black shirt with a picture of himself on the front of it. My man. Light blue jeans, black and red Nike Air Jordan shoes. His hair is in a box style haircut, and he goes by the nickname DJ. If you've seen Denzel Thorne Jr., please contact the Hopewell Police Department at 804-541-2222. Either of them, if you've seen Denzel Thorne Jr., if you've seen James Okpoti, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children and their website, missingkids.org. or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST. 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so I think we've all soapboxed it enough. It's time for us to move towards the end of the show. This is the part that I don't like, because that means we have to leave, y'all. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with John and Steph, to be able to come to y'all and talk about the stuff that we be talking about at the barbershop, the beauty salon, the backyard, or wherever it is that you like to commence to your vices, where you like to smoke a little something, drink a little something, get your hair fried up, or cut all the way off with the homies. That is the vibe that we look to try to find here on Ain't No Hot Step with Marcus J, as we have for the entire 10 years that we have been in live podcasting and internet radio. That's how we move. We want y'all to move with us. John, it's time for you to close us out. Your rant, your closing, what it is you got to say, homie.
I always kind of go the same direction all the time.
Yeah, I can. I'm sorry. That's how I do it, man.
I'm gonna say something to y'all, right? So 10 years Marcus has been doing this, profiling children. In 10 years, that means he's profiled probably 1,000 missing children, right? And that's in this area, in the Richmond area and the surrounding cities of Richmond, basically from Petersburg to Fredericksburg, right? On 95, 64, whatever, right? That's 1,000 children from this small area. And it is not like we doing every missing child. We just doing 2 that we know about, right? So I'm quite sure there's about 20 more that we don't get to. So just think about that from this small area in the country as a whole, and how many people, children, are missing. They never find their children. Never find their children. Never find their loved ones, whomever, men, women. But the children is worse because they're children. They didn't get to live at all. You know? All of this comes down to what we were talking about earlier: allocation of funds, allocation of resources, and understanding, where your dollar goes, being conscious of where your dollar goes. And it's not just your tax dollars. It's when you spend in your area, who you spend with in your area, what causes them to stay in your area and be a part of the community and increase the value of the community. What do you pay? What's your mortgage? What's your rent? All of these things come into play about resources that are allocated to your area from the state and from the federal government, right? This is why it's so important. We're about to have a governor elected for Virginia, right? I'm not in particularly favorable of either candidate, but guess what? I'm definitely going to vote for one over the other, because one of them got caught on a live mic saying that no matter what, he going to shut down abortion because that's how he feel about it. So guess what? He can't get my vote because he crazy out of his mind. That man is insane. He need to go someplace and get some help. So if it's anything I can do, he'll never be governor of anything except his padded cell, right? Because anybody who has and I'm gonna be real clear with this, as clear as I could possibly be, right? If you are a person, everybody has the right to their opinion. Your opinion could be your opinion, how you feel personally, right? But whenever your opinion takes you to a place where you feel that you have the right to enforce your opinion on others, you need some help. You got a mental problem, because that's not how it works in the world. And anybody who thinks that way, go seek some help. You're not right. There's something wrong with you, right? All of these people, these elected officials and all these other people you see coming on TV talking about how they want to ban abortion, right? They insane. Or they're pandering hard to an electorate that is insane, right? 72% 2 million people voted for Donald Trump. 70 million of them are out of their goddamn mind. They need to seek mental help. Something is wrong with y'all. And if they y'all friends and y'all know them and y'all quiet on the low about it because you don't want to be ostracized, have a quiet conversation with them and tell them go seek some help. Y'all need help. Something wrong with y'all. Because that thinking is not, it's not thinking, it's insanity. And that's just factual. That's just factual. You've been jacked up in the head by this country who plays on your sickness and uses it to profit. Right? We talked about a lot of different stuff tonight, right? And we dealt with a lot of issues. But what it all comes back down to is a little bit of self-reflection, right? A little bit of understanding and a little bit of knowing the difference, not in right and wrong. Right and wrong is a personal thing, like good and bad, right? That's what your perception is of it, right? But we have facts. And a fact doesn't mean it's right. A fact means it can be proven or disproven, right? But when we're dealing with things of the social order and the public good, all we need to ever be concerned with is fact. Because every last one of us has an opinion, and no one opinion is more valid than the next person. But if we leave it to the facts, then we'll be okay. The facts is 72% of Americans agree that a woman should have a right to choose, even those who do not like abortion and who would never get an abortion in their life and who think it's wrong. Still, those people are part of the 72% of Americans that agree that it is a woman's right to choose. I have had a strong opinion about abortion that a man should be consulted because it's his child too. But guess what? My opinion has evolved over the years. Because at the end of the day, it's his child too, but it's in her body. And if he really wanted to be concerned, he should have thought about that beforehand. So now my opinion has evolved. It's a woman's right to choose, full stop. Anybody who wants to say anything else against that, you out of your goddamn mind. Go get some help. Go get some help because you got a problem. Anybody who wants to start reading the Bible about anything that's happening right now, you out of your goddamn mind. You stupid and you crazy. It's not applicable. Right? It's allegory. It's allegory. Right? Just understand that. And if you don't understand it again, seek some help. Go sit down on the couch and talk to somebody because you out your mind. And if you really want to talk about it, you want to do anything about it, you got the phone number. I'll be here next Monday. And trust me, you call in and talk about something that is insane with me, when you hang up the phone, you're not going to be feeling good. I guarantee you. Because I'm going to let you know why you're crazy. And I'm going to present fact to you. And you're going to present opinion. And it's not going to be nice.
Hey, no, hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. Greg says a woman who is raped and gets pregnant and wants to abort is insane to think she should keep it if she doesn't want to. That's her life, not anyone else's. You know, I just think that if that woman decided she wanted to keep that child, I got no heat with her. Why? Because it's her choice. No, it's that's it.
He kind of led it to that at the end.
He didn't start there. Yeah, you didn't start there, Greg. But I think I don't honestly, your comment, I don't know where you fall on that. You know, you may or may not think that your position is clear in your comment, but it's not. At least not to me. One way or the other, and I respect whatever perspective you're coming from. All I'm saying is, if that woman who was raped decides that she wants to keep the child, I got no heat with her.
Sound like he's saying he thinks it's crazy, but it's her right to choose.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like to me, because I know him.
Okay.
Known him over 40 years.
And I agree with that. If that's what you're saying,
that's what it sounds like.
If that's what you're saying, then that's kind of what I'm saying. You know, I wouldn't say the only piece that I would take as I don't think it's crazy. I think it's her choice.
At the end of the day, it's his right to feel that way.
Absolutely.
See, and that's what I'm saying.
And ultimately,
you got a right to feel how you want to feel about it.
And that's the whole point that I like to make with regards to this show, that no matter how socially and publicly unorthodox your position might be, there's a place for it because it's yours.
Right. And all the people who I just jibbed on, don't get it twisted.
Even if
you
I don't
can
agree with
feel
you.
Personally how you feel about whatever you want, but the minute you think you have the right or the obligation, because some of y'all feel y'all obligated to push what you think on other people, and you need to go somewhere and get some help.
Greg says what I meant, it is her every right. So I think he is saying what you said you thought he was saying. So Greg, I appreciate you, bro. And first of all, you've been in the comments for most of the night. That means you've been with us. And so I want to thank you for being with us. Appreciate you for rocking. I seen your name a few times. That means that you've been with us, you know, as we've been moving. So long as you know that for me personally, you got salutations and love, then you and me in a good place. I appreciate you. Ain't no hashtag Mark J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. Before Steph takes her final word, let me get a couple of moments in Black history. The three that I'm going to do tonight are going to be three that I'm pretty sure that two of them we're going to remember, and one of them we're going to be like, word, oh, all right, that was now, all right, word. So I'm gonna split it. I'm gonna give one that you're gonna remember, then the word, and then the last one that I know that you're gonna remember. All right. So we're gonna start with 2011. I remember because we were on the radio and we were talking about when Georgia was running up the execution of Troy Davis. And we were on the show talking about, we were the green room back then. We weren't Ain't No Hot Step with Marcus J until December of 2011. But in September, when he was executed on September 21st, 2011, we were 2 shows in. And I remember talking about Troy Davis, and I remember the protests around trying to stay his execution because there was a lot of talk of his innocence. And so to think that it has been 10 years since then is so crazy to me, Steph. And it's like, wow, okay. Time is really running. Really running past us. All right. So the one that we ain't gonna remember because it was in the 1800s, and if we remember, this is some vampire stuff going on that y'all didn't share with me, and I don't think that either of y'all are vampires. Steph, you're not a vampire, are you? So you wasn't alive, not even in some weird kind of way in 1881.
I'm like Blade. I'm a hybrid. So yeah.
See, you
I
would
got
be the
some
one.
vampire.
You would be that one, right?
I got some vampire.
I'm trying to be serious and not serious. You take it to not serious. I got some
vampire.
For
People
real?
listen.
You ain't no
ask
vampire.
Ask Greg. He'll tell you. He know me. People that know me know I got some vampire.
You ain't a vampire, John.
Okay.
Are you doing
ask
Why
Greg.
are you doing this to me right
ask
now?
Greg know me.
For real.
For real.
Seriously, so you know
I
about
live
like
that
Sleepy
life.
Hollow.
Oh, we ain't gotta talk. I've been to Sleepy Hollow.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to Sleepy Hollow and with Van Winkleville.
Oh my goodness. And we in Richmond, so you hung out with Poe on that damn park bench where he passed out drunk and died.
I've sat on that bench, yeah. I've sat on that
cool,
bench.
It is. And we live in the town. And I remember growing up in Jersey City, quote the Raven nevermore.
But guess what?
And now I live in this town.
And if
Once
you go to the
upon
Bronx where the
midnight dreary, as I ponder weak and weary. Yeah.
So listen,
yeah.
if you go to the Bronx, down the block from Fordham University, there's an Edgar Allan Poe museum in a house that he lived in the Bronx too.
Poe is dope.
Yeah.
And it's ironic.
He got around.
Cause see, you know, I know some
Step
stuff,
up,
man.
step
I ain't
up,
just a
step
social
up.
activist, man. I know a little stuff. I knew about Poe. Once upon a midnight.
College
dreary.
educated Negro. It's a dangerous thing.
We know some stuff, right?
Know a few things.
All right. 1881, Tuskegee Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, holds its first classes with 30 black students and one professor, Booker T. Washington.
Booker T.
Booker T. 1881 and September 19th. All right. So the last one, I want to give shout out to my brother K Dub, one of my oldest friends, my oldest friend. I met him when I was 3 and he was 2. 2007, he was one of the up to 15,000 people in Gina, Louisiana, who protested the attempted murder and prosecution of 6 black teens for fighting with white students who hung a noose from a tree on their high school campus. I remember that joint, man. Woo, I remember that.
Who?
Yeah, I remember that joint.
everybody.
I remember that. Gina, I remember that. I
Gina
remember
Six.
Gina 6. Yeah. Ain't no how to say 14 years ago.
That's crazy.
14
Yeah,
years.
listen.
You know, that
over
means
that.
that only means one thing. Y'all get
No,
old.
y'all
How
get
about
real
this?
old. I knew he was going there.
Listen,
I knew it.
we talked about it last week. 9/11, 20 years old.
Yeah.
9/11
9/11
is
is
20
20. Yeah, it is. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J.
Damn.
Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, Steph, it's time for you to take the con, your rant, your closing. You will be the last word before I close us out. What you got?
All right. Thank you, brothers, for a good night. Appreciate you. So I celebrated my birthday last week, and I was really thinking about progress and process and what we prioritize as we process how we're going to make progress. And I think it is worthy of saying that the statement "stay in your lane" is necessary. Everything ain't for everybody, and everybody doesn't know everything. And so we need to be conscious of the fact that it's okay to say, I don't know. Actually, it's a sign of maturity to be able to admit to not knowing something and being able to redirect people towards someone who does know and actually can help. We are a community with hundreds of resources, and those resources get a less than a percent of the exposure that they should get. And sometimes that's from ego, other times that is from unwillingness to share what we know, what we have, and who we know. And as I was thinking about that last week, I started thinking about the fact that our limitations, if we're going to believe that our limitations are simply systemic and only coming from the system, then we're also committing to the fact that we never are going to experience change. So we have to get to a point where we say, yes, we recognize what the system is, and we recognize that it wasn't built for us, but we are building opportunities within our own lanes and creating value within our own community. Our lane should not be going out to educate people on racism. They created it. When I say people, you know the people I'm talking about. Don't spend your time arguing down someone on whether racism exists or not. They know it does. The same people who will tell you it doesn't will be the people who scream reverse racism because they got to wear a mask. So don't waste your time on that, because it's a process that has no progress associated with it, nor does it prioritize anything that benefits the community from which you live. Our lane over the next 3 to 5 years has to be so very specific. We are not a community, and I used to, I still believe we're not a monolith. We're not a monolith. We're never going to be a monolith. However, not being a monolith, but coming together with a common thought to make things happen is a necessity. It is a true necessity. We don't know what's going to happen with Joe Biden, but we can't rest everything on that, because whether he's somebody you voted for or not, that they're not prioritizing the needs of the Black communities. They're never going to. And so we have to get to a stage where we acknowledge that, where we make it something that we don't feel is debatable, where we're not angry because we're not getting those things from a lane that never was meant to include us. There is so much that we could be doing. I see it here in Richmond. I hear about it back home in New York, Jersey. There's so much that we could be doing. The talent is there. The education is there. You have Black women being educated at a higher level than anyone else. And as a matter of fact, the rates of white men on college campuses now have dropped. We have it within our schoolrooms with educators. I saw a principal on the Today Show this morning, principal of the year in Baltimore, a Black woman, putting everything she has into a system for Black children. If we could get to a point of where the one monolithic thought that we have is this community is the priority, and this community means our national community, all of us. If we can get to a point where we say it is a priority to see my community doing well and to understand what that means and how I can contribute to it, instead of consistently trying to stomp on each other and fight with one another and battle for position, we could definitely change the tide of how things are happening. If not, we're relying on systems that we know do not work for us. They are political, they are systemic, they are societal. And that's what I would like us to do differently, is to focus on staying in the lane, or as they say, paying attention to the bag that pays you. We need it. And as a community, we need it for our youth. John mentioned young people not wanting to listen. A lot of the reason they don't want to listen is because there are plenty of people our age with no sense. And they're smart enough to see it. They may not know how to fix it. They may not know how to react to it. But they're smart enough to see that the elders haven't created much change in the last 10 to 15 years. We have to think about things from the perspective of Martin Luther King wasn't killed to get the Civil Rights Act signed. It was signed and then he was killed. Because the system still didn't want to protect him, didn't want to work with him. He still had to be out there hoofing it after the Civil Rights Act was signed. Still had to be out there fighting. We are many, many years beyond that. And where we're placing our value and perspectives and what we see and what we need and what we ask for. John, when we first started doing radio together, would always talk about the agenda. He's absolutely right. We have no opportunity to play outside of a communal agenda if we truly want to see change. And that's my rant.
And I have Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in their radio. Greg says, yes, Miss Steph, let's use our lane. We can all travel in it together. I like that. I like that sentiment. It's time for me to close it out and end it with my own rant and my own closing. It's funny. Those folks that are closest to me can see and feel this stage that I'm in. I'm feeling like a transition period personally in my life. I think it started in the second half of my 44th year. Before I turned 45, I'm moving towards the second half of my 47th year. So I guess I've been in it about 3 years or so. And it's a trip because I feel a shift. I feel priorities changing. I feel the things that are important to me becoming different than the things that used to be important to me. I find that as I move deeper into middle age, you know, my relationships that I've had for a long time are also moving towards transition as I have conversations with elders in my family. I appreciate them more. I miss them more. I want to spend more time with them, which is difficult for me because those folks who know me and they know my bio know that I live 350 miles away from those that are closest to me, other than my wife and my daughter. So it's tough, it's tough. And speaking of my daughter, as I watch her matriculate and move towards young adulthood at 18 years of age in her first year of college, I look back at her and I can remember exactly the feelings that I had when I was in this stage. It's a recurring theme with me. I may have shared these things with you all in the past, and unfortunately, you're going to have to just bear with me as I stand on this soapbox and speak this way going forward, because this is it's a preeminent time for me in my life. And I've always been transparent but guarded with you as my listeners and viewers. There's certain shit I just don't want to fucking tell you. It's real talk. It's just but then there's certain things that I just, if I got the notion that I will. And one of the things that I'm finding and that I'm learning is that there are people that can learn from your story, because you're not alone with what you're dealing with, what you're going through. You think, am I supposed to think that I'm the only person going through a period in life where he's viewing his elderly parents and feeling away with a college person, worried differently about both sides? I'm not the only person. I know I'm not. And so I speak this way because I hope that somebody's watching, somebody's listening. Hey, man, these archives last forever as we put them in social media, YouTube, Facebook Live, whatever. And people are going to see this. People are going to watch this. People are going to listen to this. And hopefully one day you'll realize that you're not alone. And that's one of the things that, as human beings, one of the most important things that I have found in my lifetime is that the love and connection that you feel with other human beings is the most gratifying thing that I've experienced. Me, not money, not status, not buying. I got cars. I got 4 cars right now. I got 4 cars. And I'm boosting myself up. I'm just saying, personal possessions are not the rage. It's not the thing. Doesn't matter what you have. What matters is the relationships that you have and the people that you love and the people that you that love you. If you look at my shirt tonight, it says be kind, be conscious, be love. And people tripping off of me now. I had people reaching out to me, Marcus, you some sort of recluse now. You turning into a hippie. You in a stage. I'm in a stage. And I'm loving this stage. I'm feeling this stage. I'm digging the stage. It's giving me an opportunity to get more comfortable with who I am and being clear about the things that are important to me and the people that are important to me and the things that I say and want to share. Transparency is a thing, man. Transparency is a thing because you're helping people. You're not alone feeling how you feel. You think you are, but you're not. The human experience is not individual to you. Maybe the individual specific stuff is, but the general feelings, not alone, man. When you're going through happiness, it's other people who have experienced happiness. And when you're going through grief, you're not alone with that either. So embrace how you feel. Know that it's okay to feel how you feel. And know that whatever it is that's in your spirit, that's authentic to you, it's okay. Don't run from it. Embrace it because it's important to the essence of who you are. And you are important. I am important. And I'm teaching myself that. I'm teaching myself patience with others and with myself. That, to me, is the ultimate peace. That's the Marcus's unrelated rant. It's got nothing to do with what we in here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show, y'all. I want to remind you that independence is the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. The abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Authenticity has no competition. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We'll be back here live next week, y'all. Holla. John, Steph, tell them peace. Yeah. We're going to see y'all next week, man. This is a great show. I love y'all. It's so fun to do this. 10 years of peace.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, run it back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.